I actually had a buddy in college named Matt Heffelfinger. Like that's your
Oh,
last name,
really?
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I won't
yeah.
say that publicly. Yeah. So when I first, I was like, "Oh shit, is this the guy I went to college with?" And I guess you're a different guy.
Yeah, I guess so. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've known the closest I've ever known to another Heffelfinger was I went to high school with a guy. Surprisingly, he was like 2 years under me, but his name was Michael, and his
Mhm.
last name was Heffelfinger, but it was with one H, and mine is with two. It was
Ah.
bizarre. We looked kind of similar too. He was also blonde. He was about my height, like at my height, like two, like at the age that he was. So like it was really weird. And we had a few teachers in common, like obviously years apart. But one of my teachers, she taught 2 grades, so she taught me early, and then also taught me later. And she was just like, "I have you in the same class, but years apart this year, and he's just a better version of you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks for that vote of confidence." and then
That's
she
stuff you
was
want
she
to
was
hear a
like, "No,
teacher
it's in a
say.
good way. Like he just studies a lot and he like works really hard, and like you just kind of blow things off." And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "But you still got good grades, so it's fine." Because I
Yeah.
was actually okay in her class.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
so tell me about what you're doing, man. So like I've seen your channel for YouTube. It's awesome. You're doing a bunch of box openings and you run a
Yeah.
store, right? And you do
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of
So
charity case breaks, right?
yes, yeah. So we started doing that. That was an idea I actually had on stream. So I run the Fab Arsenal. So that's an online only store. So we're not brick and mortar. My store, the one
Mhm.
that I actually own, but I do help run an LGS. So I do. So a lot of people get confused because it is kind of confusing, and I don't blame people when they're like, "Oh, you own a store, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, but probably not the way that you're thinking." So I own an online store. So I started this. I started an online store way back, uh, like it was 2016, I want to say, when I filed my paperwork.
Oh wow.
And I
That's a
started,
long time
yeah. So
ago.
I started an online store. I was doing a subscription box for Magic the Gathering. So that was like my origins of getting into business. That was horribly planned. I had a really good idea, and I thought I could just do it. And then the two friends that I had we were going to do it together, they kind of like didn't show as much interest as I had, and the work was it was very scattered. And I didn't have a focused idea, so
Mm.
that kind of fell apart. But I still had the official business, so I was still going to the distributor, picking stuff up because for Magic, I'm online only, so I couldn't even pick up product.
Yeah.
um, but I started that way back then. So I run that, and now I've transferred over to Flesh and Blood almost exclusively. I do board games. I used to do board games and minis a lot. So like Wizards of the Coast, the WizKids minis and stuff like that, pre-painted, painted, all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
non-painted, that kind of thing, hobby minis. But then yeah, Flesh and Blood came out, and I just picked up a box randomly because it was in PhD's email that was just like, "Hey, new game, check it out." And I was like, "All right, I'll check it out,
Maybe I
sure."
will.
And yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I will check it out. I like trading card games. Magic has its fun, and I'll try a new one. Why not?
Yeah.
I never got on board with anything else really. Like everybody talks about how they were into Pokemon and they got super into it, and like I played a little bit of Pokemon when I was a kid, but I never got into it.
Yeah, same.
Um, yeah, like I bought a bunch of cards. I mean, like my parents bought me a bunch of cards. I forced them, to check out at the store, and I'm like, "Can I have some?" And they bought it, but
Yeah, I feel you
I never
there.
really got into playing it. And then I've been in and out of Magic over the years, but I saw it and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll pick up a box." So I picked up a box of Welcome to Wraith, like late November 2019. So the game had just come out,
Wow.
just come out. So I
So
picked
you've
it
been
up like,
in it from the beginning,
yeah.
like.
So like, yeah, technically it's really weird because whenever I tell people like, "Yeah, I started playing in November," they're like, "Oh, like so you play a ton and like you're really good at this." And I was like, "No, no, no, no." So I picked up cards in November. So if you look at I guess if LSS or my account manager looks at my account, they're like, "Oh yeah, you picked up the game at the very beginning," and I'm like, "Yes, yes, I did. I think I bought 2 boxes. Uh, um, that first month. I bought one. I cracked 6 packs, built a little sealed deck. Didn't even get to play a game. I didn't even play a game that day. So I built a sealed. I never looked at the cards, so I just
Oh
cracked them
wow.
open. I think that's my favorite way to learn a game is to just start cracking packs and look at it and just observe the game without any real knowledge of the game. So I cracked them packs. I looked up the basic rules after I cracked the packs and looked at the art and the design and stuff like that, because I feel like that's what really drew me into it is that fantasy art and that just like the beauty of the
Yeah,
cards
the
because
raw
you
and
got
real beauty, I know what you mean, but that's a
yes,
good
yeah,
method, that's a good point, man. Because a lot of times you hear a lot of other people's opinions, and then you might be biased when you're looking
hmm
at a new product, so going into it with a tabula rasa, a blank slate,
yeah.
no,
Just
okay,
absolutely nothing in
that's
mind
cool,
other than
man.
like, oh, what's this look like? Oh,
Yeah,
like what like okay, I see, and like because you get that vibe of something that like maybe a new player would get if they just picked up the game. So I think it's really cool because I was a new player and I was just picking up the game, but I didn't want to walk in there with like thinking about the mechanics and being like, oh, this is like this in that game and this is like that in that game. I just wanted to look at the cards and be like, can I figure out what this game is? And that's I think one of the coolest things about Flesh and Blood is by just looking at the cards, I pretty much picked the game up. I
mm,
had to look at the specifics and I had to I had to watch the how-to video and I had to I had to play a few matches with one of my friends to really actually finalize my knowledge of the game. But like the game is so easy to pick up that like just looking at the cards, if you've played enough card games or you've played board games a lot, you're going to pick up those mechanics really easy. Now, being good at the game is a very different story.
oh, for sure.
um, yeah,
Easy to learn,
definitely.
hard to
So
master, but I feel you. I've heard that
exactly.
a lot from other people, and it was the same with me when I first got the cards. I loved the artwork, and it was
Yeah.
just beautiful, and it was really cool of a vibe of you could really picture your character doing these moves and a fight ensuing. But yeah, I feel you, man. It just really when I first started playing the game, it didn't take me that long to start
No.
knowing what I was doing and like, oh, okay, now I know how to play. Whereas other games
Yeah.
I played in the past, it was hard to pick up, like all the different wordings and stuff. But other than
Oh,
that,
definitely. And the weird, sometimes they use really weird words for mechanics, and you're like, but what does that do?
yeah,
But like intimidate, you're like, okay, what's that do? And it's like, oh, well, it takes a card out of your hand. You're like, oh, that makes sense.
that makes sense.
Like thematically, your brain connects that really easy because the theme and the mechanic work together,
Hmm.
which is pretty rare for
That's
like
so
because
key, though.
normally you're thinking about that triangle. You've got like good theme,
Uh
good
huh.
mechanics, and like fun to play, and you're doing two, but you can't do all three. And I think Flesh and Blood's kind of put a pin in the middle of that triangle, and it's just like everything meets, and you're just like, yeah, that's where it's at. The
Oh yeah.
theming's really good, the mechanics are solid, and like it's just they've got so much crazy space to build into.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
it's so fun watching everybody like speculate on what's going to be in Monarch, what's happening here, what's going on there, and you're like, I could easily see literally everything everyone's saying being something in this game because there's just so much design space.
Yeah, there's nothing's really too far fetched at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much they could do. I mean, I mean the PVE concept. I mean, can
Oh
you
my god.
imagine? I
I'm
mean,
so
that's gonna
excited.
bring so many more people in. You know
I'm
that's
so
gonna
excited.
happen. Maybe not this year,
Yeah.
but I mean that, and then you got a bunch of other things. I mean, we haven't even had a world tournament for this game. I
Oh
can't
my yeah,
imagine when
no.
that drops.
That's yeah. Oh my god, that's going to be epic. When that happens, hopefully we'll have I like new format. I can't I'm really excited about new format. That'll be fun.
A
Um
new format?
and then oh yeah, like PvE.
Oh,
So like
gotcha.
something
Yeah,
so a
yeah.
new way to play. Yeah, so that'll be out probably by the time we have a world. And then you've just got probably I mean at least Monarch. It's not coming out before Monarch. We know that. But like maybe still even after Kingdoms, you're right. Maybe not until 2022. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, they said
What's
they're still working on it, which is cool because it shows that they're really dedicated to actually perfecting it rather than just being like, yeah, we got a new format. Here you go.
Oh,
Hopefully you
for
guys like
sure.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what's interesting is I don't know if you had seen, but there's like this retail binder that a bunch of people got earlier in March 2020, and in
No.
it actually said they were planning on Worlds in late 2020, I think November 2020. And because of everything
Okay.
that happened, I guess
Yeah.
they pushed that off to the side,
Kind of had
but
to scrap that. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
Unavoidable, really.
oh, for sure. But once that happens, it's gonna be huge, and it'll be
Oh
interesting
man.
to see. I mean, are they gonna hold it in New Zealand and what the cash prize is gonna be? And
Oh yeah. I feel like if I was them,
mhm,
and I'm not, so
I'm not
feel
either.
free to for them to hopefully I mean they can listen to me or not. I know they are because that's another cool thing about them is like they're listening. Like I've got a
They're
tiny
like
channel.
Big
You've
Brother.
got a
They're
you've got
always listening.
a nice sized channel, and like they're still there. They're still watching those streams. They're still seeing what people think about this game
Yeah.
every day. So if I was them, I would definitely host the first Worlds in New Zealand. It's where the game is made. It's got all. I mean, people want to go there anyways, no matter what.
Oh, totally.
Now
Great vacation
the
spot.
logistics of that, yeah, the logistics of that are maybe a little difficult because that means essentially everyone except for people that live in New Zealand are traveling there. But I think that's what I would if I was them, because I mean, where else do you host it?
Yeah.
You're either saying like, okay, well, we're going to cater to a North American market and make all of the people that were here day one with us fly to North America, uh, probably the US, maybe Canada, but um, you're either making a choice to play at home, or forcing everyone else to fly to a place that has no ties to the game. So I feel like the first one, definitely, I would just be like, New Zealand. Yeah, it's going to be in New Zealand. We're going to find a place for it. Fly out if you really like the game. Come to Worlds.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd love to join. I mean, even if I wasn't competing, man, just to see a bunch of other people that I've been
oh
talking
my
to in the
God, yeah.
community, just this would be cool. Just grabbing a beer and hanging out.
Everybody in real life.
Yeah, not just
Yeah, and
like
it's
commenting on somebody's video. Like
click,
I've
click, click, click,
had
click,
these
click.
relationships with a bunch of people, but it's so much different than just chatting in person.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not even just like, oh, I wish I could go there because real people, like, I've been stuck in my house for a year.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I think it'd be a lot of fun to play Flesh and Blood in the Flesh and Blood outside of the 12 people that I know that we have locally. I know we're both Florida,
Yep.
right? Yeah. So yeah, we've got a pretty good local play group up here in Orlando. But yeah, I would love to see like 40 Flesh and Blood players in one room.
Oh,
Uh,
for sure.
Obviously, right now and a lot of people are feeling like it's not that big a deal anymore. But a lot of people aren't worried about COVID too much. But I'm still in that mode of like, when I see more than 10 people in a group, I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, it's
So, or
it's
like
a
watching
stigma
movies,
that's out there
you see
now.
like you see like a crowded hall, and you're like, oh, they're unsafe, and you're like, no, this is a movie from like 1998. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of becoming ingrained in me now that like large crowds, no masks, what's going on? And then you're like, no, wait,
No,
there
wait,
are places in the world, like when you see the pictures
everything
of New
might be
Zealand
good.
tournaments,
Yeah.
they live in New Zealand. They live in New Zealand. It's fine. Or Taiwan, where like everything's generally much safer because they've essentially gotten rid of that fear, that need for that constant masking, and all that stuff. So it's really weird seeing that. But yeah, I definitely, oh my God, because I went to a Magic GP back in 2018, I want to say, when they came to Orlando, and
Mhm.
I'm by no means even a remotely like locally good Magic player. But it was a lot of fun just because everybody was there for one thing.
Yeah.
Everyone was there for the same reason. You all wanted to play. You got to do really cool events like chaos drafting, which is a lot of fun. And I think it would be even cooler to do that with Flesh and Blood, just because I like the game more.
Oh, for sure.
um, and like the community, even now, even after this huge explosion of the community, is still so solid. Like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a few people that we've kind of found here and there where you're like, that guy, I don't know if I like that one. But there's
Maybe
nobody
I'm
that's
that
like,
person for a lot of people too. I don't know about
hey,
that Bronson guy, but no, no,
I
I,
don't
I
know
feel
about
you,
that
man. It's
Bronson.
great. It's really really homey. And have you seen the amount of
Yeah.
content creator collaboration? It's
Oh
just
my God, yeah.
it's freaking
I mean, it's
amazing.
great.
There's so many people just talking with one another. I love it.
Yeah,
It's oh,
and it's still very
makes me so
like,
happy.
yeah, it's becoming more established. You've got your what I would probably say like household names,
Hmm.
people that have like established themselves as like, you are a Flesh and Blood content creator, and they've already got like their channel's already had a following. So like now that channel's moving to Flesh and Blood primarily. Like DM Armada, he's like, if you talk about Flesh and Blood and you talk about him, everybody kind of knows his name.
Yep,
I mean, he got picked up by Channel Fireball. Like, you're at a
like
certain
day
level
one.
when Channel Fireball is picking you up, but he already has a following, and now he's moving into Flesh and Blood a lot, which is really cool. But it's also still Wild West, like I didn't have a channel before this, and I've got 140 something right now. You've got like 300 and change,
Yep.
I think, or 400.
No,
You're
no,
close
three.
to
I'm like 300 and change. I think.
mid 300s. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. It's I think it's crazy because there's still a lot of room for people to move into this community and create content, no matter what you're creating. I know you and I both know Rob, who does Tolarian Dropouts.
I love that guy. Do you
He's
know him in
great.
real life?
Yeah, yeah, he's actually one of our local players. So
No
I,
way.
I
That's
actually
crazy.
I don't get to play with him too often because I TO at one of the places that he plays, and the other place that we have up here, the Collective. So I TO at Cloak and Blaster,
Mhm.
which is a gaming pub in Orlando, and then they also play at the Collective, and I get to play there. I think I've only gotten up there, I think 3 or 4 times in the past few months.
Uh-huh.
My schedule doesn't really align with when they do tournaments and stuff like that. I either have to leave early or I get called into work early, and I'm like, I can't make it tonight, guys. Sorry.
That's so cool.
Um,
You know AJ too?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get to hang out with Rob and
Yeah,
AJ and
those guys
them.
are really
Yeah,
cool. I just met
yeah,
them
man.
in the last month, I think. I talked to AJ and I've been talking to Rob and playing games with both of them.
Yeah,
They're really cool guys. And it's
yeah.
cool.
They both have channels and stuff, and it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
definitely want to meet you guys in person. Like, go to one of
yeah.
those tournaments because what is it? The Cloak and Blaster. I used to go there like back in the day when I was in college. It was a cool place to
Oh,
hang out.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I've probably seen you then because I've worked there since we were open. So like I've definitely seen you in real life at some point.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
I just
weird.
walked by
That's
and
pretty
it
cool.
was like a faded interaction that
Yeah.
never happened.
This is the point in the movie where like it's a flashback and like it's from your perspective because you know you're doing the recording and everything like that. So it's your perspective and you're like looking around and I'm like in the background and you just see me and the camera pan focuses back to me and then it just goes back to you and you keep going along your day.
I love it. Yep. That's
Yeah,
exactly what it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
It's a small
yeah. So
world in Florida.
yeah, right. Florida's it's crazy because it's right now it's kind of like Florida, Texas, and Cali. We have these two huge play scenes because our states have been just loosey goosey with the rules and just been like whatever, go ahead and do whatever you want.
Travel's
Which like
important. Keep it
yeah,
open.
yeah, yeah. Tourism's important in these
Yep.
states, so we're not gonna just whatever go back to business, which you know is a topic for another channel. But it's great. It does have one positive side effect that we've gotten to build a cool local community and actually getting to play this game, which is a lot of fun. And Rob is definitely huge, and AJ I know is huge into playing the game. They both really like the game play and Rob is really in it at like he wants to play. Like he wants to get
Yeah.
really good at this game. And it shows because he's a really good player. And then AJ is really into the rules. He really likes getting into the little bits of the rules and like learning about like the core of the game, which is really cool too. They're both really cool dudes, and it's really cool because yeah, like you said, everybody does. It's we're still in that stage where everybody's working together. Whereas in like other
Yep.
content creation things, you rarely see anyone other than already big names get together.
And if they do, it's just like, oh, this, random thing one off. It's not as much
Yeah,
of a like reoccurring thing. And yeah, I know what
yeah,
you mean. And I think we're gonna see more of those types of people like Rob and AJ. Like, AJ
mhm.
from Adventure Co Gaming, I'll plug that, and
Yeah,
Rob
plug it.
Talarian Dropouts, that
Yeah,
what's really cool about them is they are the competitive player. They want to win
yeah,
those tournaments and they want to go just ham on it and get the win. I
yeah,
wish I definitely want to win Flesh and Blood. It'd be cool to win a tournament sometime, but
yeah,
I'm not as inclined to just sign up for all those tournaments. Go as much
yeah.
as I can. But it's really cool to see that type of person. I mean, like I've seen them talk after a bunch of tournaments, and they talk about
Mhm.
what happened and
Oh
what they
yeah,
could have done wrong or what they could have
yeah.
changed.
Reviewing
And
each move, like
yeah,
what could I? Okay, if I'd blocked that differently, what would have happened? Like they had this in hand, so that probably would have. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Whereas me
yeah, man.
with my smooth brain, I'm like, I'm Bravo. I didn't get my crippling crush. Next time, I'm getting my crippling crush.
Game over.
Yeah,
I didn't draw the thing, and next time I'm gonna draw the thing. It's like when they ask a football player at the end of the game, like, yeah, we ran the ball, but they ran it a little farther and they passed really well. So next time we're just gonna try to pass better. And you're like, okay, that's kind of the game. So yeah, we assumed you were gonna do that.
that's exactly it. I'm the football player type competitor. They're like the chess, like Bobby Fischer type.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they came at me with the pawn to the queen nine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. In turn 7, I misplayed here, and you're like, oh, was there any other like thing that you would have changed? No, no, that's exactly where it started. I failed there, and that was the thing that did it. And you're like, that was like 2 hours ago. How do you remember that? And they're just like, I recalled the whole game. I know it. I knew every turn.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's cool too. When I started this, I didn't really have a grasp of it, but people have different brains, man.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they have certain brain for more of a competitive thing, but there's definitely a store when people are running a store. I've talked to Mitch from Midtown Merchant and then Jason from Deck Edge, and the way
Mhm.
those guys think, and with you too, it's just there's so much that you have to budget for and make sure you have enough capital to fund different
Yep, it's
things
just
and
sitting here, sitting there, like, okay, I don't touch that. I need that for that. No, don't touch that. I think I need that. So what's the number if I add this and this? Okay, yeah, I've got enough. We're good.
yeah, how do you manage it, man? So when
Oh,
you're running your store, like how do you that's a good question I think. First off, how do you manage your capital spend? Because as a collector, I'll tell you how I do it. I just spend and I don't sell and
I
I'm
just go,
good
go, go, go.
and I'm happy.
Yeah,
But
so
with
your
you,
approach to collecting is very Bravo-esque.
yeah,
You just smash it until you get it.
I just smash it. I get
Yeah,
my
you
wallet
get
and
that
I just
crippling crush.
throw it at the internet and it
I
comes to
pitch
my
all
door.
of the dollars to get to cast all to play all the cards.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting because personally, I'm very much I'm much a squirrel, I would say. So if you want to compare yourself, compare how you spend things to an animal. I'm a squirrel. I have like 5 investment accounts.
Hmm.
None of them are massive. So a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I have this investment account. I do a lot with it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have this one, and this one, and this one." And people are like, "Wow, you have a lot of money." And I'm like, "Nah, each one has like $400 or $500. That one has 1,000." Like, okay. But I don't have a lot in investments. I just have a lot of accounts, and I tuck whenever I have money, I throw some there, and then I just forget about it. And now, but I know in the back of my head, like, oh, you know what? If I ever need something, it's all there. For the
Yeah.
store, though, it's a little different. For the store, I have to look at. So I have all separate accounts for that, and I have to kind of look at that, and I have to think about like, okay, well, what's the date on this? When am I going to have to pay for that? So yeah, I've got my business card. Like, when's the bill on that due? Like, okay, that's going to come out of here. But if I spend this to acquire, so I've just started getting into acquiring singles collections. So I've been getting people's bulk and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
just recently, a local player sold me a ton of bulk Crucible Majestics, which is why the store has now stock of Crucible Majestics,
Oh
which
wow.
I did. I was thinking like, hey, people are going to need them for skirmishes because they're the cards that are hardest to get. We've had this recent dry spell again of unlimited, but we're gonna get that back. Hopefully, knock on wood.
A dry spell on unlimited.
It's
I love the
somewhere.
sound
Yeah,
of
right.
that. The oxymoron.
Yeah, the unlimited print is now just waiting in a truck somewhere. I think it's landed in Chicago. It's somewhere in the middle of between Chicago and Georgia right now. Um, we'll have it soon. But yeah, so I was like, okay, a lot of people have already gotten access to these, but these Crucible Majestics, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are they're just sitting in their closets, because
Yep.
people collect and then they kind of forget about it. So I put the word out. I was like, hey, anybody got like a big stack of Crucible Majestics you don't want? I'll buy them. So I bought a few hundred Crucible Majestics. So that,
A few
uh,
hundred from one person?
yeah, yeah,
Did they open
yeah. One
boxes to get that? Because if so, do you know how
they
many?
did.
Holy! I mean,
Yes.
Crucible Majestic. Well, I think there's about 6 or 7 per box. So if it was a
Yeah.
couple hundred, then I
There's about
mean,
22 to 24. I think I had one case where I pulled 28 out of
okay,
one case, which was so you're looking at a couple hundred is at least,
eight
let's
cases.
say on average 22. So yeah, like probably 8 plus to get a few hundred. So yeah,
Which would
it's a
currently
lot.
be if Crucible were and it's gonna hit 1,000 soon, probably.
Oh, easy.
Not investment advice. I'm just a
Yeah.
normal guy in
No
a
invest
normal
this is
room. But
this is not legal advice. Please do not.
hey, dude, I cover my ass, and I'm just I don't
Let's
know.
take oh, you have to. You
Yeah,
have
but
to.
I
You're on the
mean,
internet.
because how much money would that be? So if it's 8 cases times 4 boxes, that's $24,000.
Yeah, yeah, give or take. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, especially if I mean, I know he bought them all locally because he bought them from the LGS that I work at. But yeah, it was a lot. So it was really funny because I, in a way, sold him all the carts and then I
Yeah.
just bought them back.
For
But
more money than
yeah, it
he
was really
paid
funny
probably
because
for the
it wasn't
boxes.
from my store. It was from the LGS that I work at. But yeah, we were super lucky because so like I was saying, circle back, full circle. I picked up the game in November 2019, late November. It was maybe early December. I kind of blurred lines, but it was very early in the game's inception. And at the time, I thought the game had been out in New Zealand for like a year. I thought it was like an existing game that was established, and they were just now importing it. So I didn't know that these boxes were like Alpha print. Like this is early on in the game. I thought, oh, like this game's been out
Oh
since
wow.
early on. It's been out for a while, and now they're like, hey, we think we got a good game. Send it over to the U.S. and make some, get it big. So we bought some boxes. I was playing on my own. I told the store like, hey, we need to because I'm a manager there, so I don't have the power to buy things on their accounts or anything, but I
Hmm.
I have some pretty good suggestions. So I was like, hey, this game's really picking up. I think it's gonna have good Steam. No one in the area is carrying it because at the time, because I have to like pitch things to them because I have to be like, hey, it's not my money, it's your money, but I want you to spend it on this
Yeah.
thing that I want the store to carry. So I was like, hey, I looked it up. The nearest place that's carrying this is in North Carolina, and it was like it's hundreds of miles away. And we have local competitors here that are very big stores that will essentially buy up all the product they can see,
Hmm.
and then when everybody else doesn't have any, they will put it on sale and they'll
Oh.
drive the price to the ground. And then anybody that could get more product after that is like, oh, like, yeah, it's selling really well. So they pick it up. But then they're like, oh, no one wants to buy this anymore at anywhere near the MSRP, which is like a lot of people talk about like MSRP and they're like, oh yeah, but like that's the bad price. And it's like, well, no, that's the price that like a store it's that give
No,
and take.
I'm
Like
laughing because it's true. It's be like, oh, I don't want to
it's
pay
that
MSRP. That's
yeah,
for
like everybody
chumps.
everybody looks at whatever miniature market has it on sale for, and they're like, that's the good price. Like, don't buy it for anything more than that. And it's like, well, yeah, like miniature market can do that because they have a giant warehouse, and they've got millions of dollars in capital spend every month that they just if it sits on a shelf for a month, they don't care.
Mm.
Because if they make $1 a unit 10 months later, they made $1 a unit. That's fine. Um,
So what you're basically saying is store space for the cards is big for
yeah, yeah,
local game stores, and I've heard that in the past because when
yeah,
I first got into the game, I bought a lot of bulk, and literally from a lot
yeah.
of stores they said, "Dude, I have a box full of Flesh and Blood cards. Do you want it? Here's the price. Like I don't want it
Yep.
in my store. Like this is the
I've got
price
bulk.
to give you
Yeah,
And I was like, "Yeah, sounds good for me."
yeah,
But
sure.
but
I'll
I
take that.
didn't think about that before. I didn't think that store space was as big of an issue as it is, but I guess it is. I mean, if you're doing a ton of box openings, and and
Yeah.
and this that kind of goes into another point. So, when Flesh and Blood first got released, do you think a
Mhm.
lot of people were trying to do that in the market where they'd buy up all the boxes, open them, and do mass box openings, and then sell off all the good cards because not that many people had access to them for a new trading card game? Is that
No, I
essentially
think
or
I think this game had a very different start than most. It's really interesting, especially on that topic of mass box openings to stock singles.
mm,
I think this game had a really interesting start because the boxes are relatively inexpensive, or they were. As we all know right now, all of the boxes are expensive
yeah,
because of supply issues. But when this game first came out, believe it or not, you could buy a box of alpha for $80,
yep.
which sounds just ludicrous to say. But I remember being able to just any place you could find them, they were $80.
All
And
the
it
way
was
up until
so
July 2020, right? People forget
uh
this.
yeah, I would say probably until yeah around then, give or
Yeah.
take. I don't have like I have terrible memory, so like yeah, I would agree with that off the
Yeah,
top of
like
my head.
mid 2020, which is insane.
Yeah,
So
like
that's a
mid to
good
mid to late 2020. So like summer, end of summer, you would still see boxes for under MSRP.
yeah.
We'll at least say that under or around MSRP. But the game is relatively cheap. So you're comparing it to the big four, whatever. We don't have to talk specifically about them, but their boxes are bigger, so you get more cards, but they're also more expensive. So
Mhm.
when you look at Flesh and Blood, it's a smaller box size. It's 24 packs compared to 36 or 32 or something like that. And then you've also got this box price of 95 or 95.76, I think is the technical MSRP, or less. And when you're looking at that, people look at that and they go, "Oh, I could buy that whole box for $80. Why would
Mhm.
I why would I buy like singles?" So like I think at first this game had a really big thing like ticked in people's brains. They were like, I can buy a whole box for $80. That's pretty good. Like I get a whole box because you're not really
That's a
thinking
good
about like,
point.
oh, I get 240 cards for $80. You're thinking, oh, well, I mean, it's not 240. That's Crucible of War. It's 15 cards per pack. It's more cards than that. But you're not thinking about the numerical value, like amount of cards. You're thinking a box because you
Yeah.
just think of a booster box. So I think this game really tapped into people's minds with the box price is this, whereas other box prices are here, even though the pack prices are the same.
Hmm.
Like MSRP for a Magic booster pack is $3.99. MSRP for a Flesh and Blood booster pack is $3.99. And
Oh.
technically, a box at MSRP is just 24 packs times $3.99. So when you look at it, pack for pack, technically, if you were paying MSRP, Magic doesn't have an MSRP, but what it used to be is $3.99. Everyone expects like that's the the Target price. If you got a thing at Target, which is they always price it at the recommended price. They don't try to undercut.
Well, you have a good
Maybe
point
that's
here because
yeah.
haven't Magic the Gathering booster boxes? I've been in that realm
Mhm.
for the last maybe 4 to 5 years, and I think 5 years ago, booster boxes were around the $70 to $80 range, but
Yeah,
they've
good
been
price.
slowly creeping up,
Mhm.
and now it's 100, 110 in that
Yep.
range. So you
Yeah,
have a
you
good
would.
point. So you think that because people saw the $80 of Flesh and Blood, they're like, "Oh, this is awesome! Like something that's below 100, that's legit.
Yeah,
I
I
want to buy
think
one of those."
because yeah, you could find like you used to be able to pre-order any Magic set at
Hmm.
like 90 a box or less. Like if you could find a good deal below that, but like 90 was like an easy find. Any store had it like $90 a box. And then as I mean, if anybody follows Magic, you know that they raised the back end price for stores. So the price automatically went up because it doesn't matter what store you are. If your back end pricing goes up, your front end pricing has to go up no matter what. You can't just take that loss, especially on things like trading card games, which are normally a really low margin product because they're like a commodity. People buy large quantities and they want to buy it at the least price they can because they
Hmm.
want to open it, they want to play with it, and they want to flip it, or save it for later. So you're looking at this and you're like, okay, well the price of Magic's gone up, and then at the time that Flesh and Blood was coming out, you just didn't find pre-orders for under $100. And as we know, Pokemon is also taking off. Like targets are getting wiped clean. Like
That's
targets,
insane.
where product is at recommend. It's not like LGSs who are underpricing their product because they want to try to move it are getting
Yeah,
wiped out.
it's
Targets are getting
Target.
wiped out at like full price, the price that
Expect
everybody goes,
less,
oh,
pay
but that's the
more.
bad price.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got this resurgence of TCGs, and they're all flying off the shelves, and they're all selling for more than they used to. But in comes Flesh and Blood, and they're like, hey, a box is $80. And then you've got some stores selling at, in the mid, like low, 76, 78, like whatever, before map was a thing.
Yeah.
So you've got this price that seems so much lower because you look at these pre-orders for new sets and on these other games and it's like, oh, 100, 109, 99. And you're like, oh, that's almost $100. So you're thinking about this price and it's three digits. But when you see Flesh and Blood, it's only two digits and then the decimal point. But whatever,
That
that's
does
always
put
there.
something in your mind, and I
That
mean,
puts something in your
yeah.
mind that like triggers that little lizard brain in the back of your head, like, oh, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Even though like card for card, they're pretty much the same price.
Yeah, but it's just because the packs, there's different packs in the boxes.
Yep.
That's an
Uh,
interesting concept. And
Yeah, and
and so you've been in it since the very beginning. So I
mhm.
there's something I ask a lot of people who have been, man, and it's just weird cuz I've been around since when Crew was starting to release. And for
Okay.
me, it's always been like it's constantly a tidal wave of different news and information, and there's lulls, but it's just constantly uptick. But
Yep.
when I look through the archives of the back random postings of the past, it doesn't seem like this game was hyped up at all at all. Like from November to June, what was your concept of this game and just a secondary market, but not really just a secondary market, just the
Yeah.
overall feeling of people? Because I think that that is one of the biggest things that is going to really get lost over time. People aren't going to realize that literally from November to June 2020, I think that it wasn't very big. I don't know. And you've been here, so you'd know.
No, yeah. Yeah, I think you have an excellent point. A
I
lot of
don't want to
people
feed you
and
words though, so please
no,
speak
no,
with
no,
all
you have an
honesty.
excellent point. I absolutely agree. So it's definitely not feeding words, but it's a plate that I would have helped prepare as well. So it's definitely true. Yeah, the game was relatively it was like almost unhyped at all completely. Like I
Yeah.
said, I got that PhD email and it had a little banner that said like Flesh and Blood, new to US. And I was like, oh cool, I'll check that out. But that was in the email, I want to say twice, maybe three times. I got because you get, you know, periodic updates from them like this is what's coming in stock, you should order this is getting restocked, and I think I only saw it in their banner 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
Um, which sometimes they leave things up. Like sometimes you get like a banner in that email like for months.
From
Sometimes they're like
PhD?
a
What is that? Southern Hobby?
so that's the game distributor. It's a Peach State Hobby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I go through them. I know the other company that carries it is Southern Hobby Distribution.
Gotcha.
I don't have any dealings with them because they only deal with you have to be brick and mortar to even set up an account with them.
Ah, gotcha.
Um, and my LGS hasn't set up an account with them yet, which I'm trying to pester them to do because it would be great to have a second avenue for
Yeah,
getting a little bit. You get allocated really bad, you still have two accounts.
exactly. You have a
um,
backup.
yeah, you have your backup. So if you get, you get 10% from both, you have 20% kind of in a
Yeah.
way. But then also if you don't, you have two orders that are huge that you didn't mean to order. But
Yeah.
that's never going to happen anymore. But yeah, so in the beginning, in the dawn of time,
Way back in
it
the
was
good old days,
back in my day.
1.5 years ago, right?
Yeah, 1.5, yeah, 18 months ago. Yeah, so I picked it up, like I said, November. I was opening my box. No one was talking about it. There was literally nothing. There was no Discord. There was no Facebook groups. I found their website. The LSS website when that game launched was very sparse. There was like 4 or 5 articles on it. It was like, okay, yeah, this game definitely just like I think it was when I first looked at their website. Excuse me. I realized that the game had just started and it wasn't something that had been around for a long time and then been imported because it was sparse. And I think that's something that I think that's something that, in my opinion, they should grow is their own in-house content or their own in-house communications. They do really good communicating news with us sometimes, but they don't upload anything other than important information now, which is probably just because they're very busy. But that's aside. But yeah,
No,
there was
that's very
nothing.
fair, and I think they're gonna do that in the future. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's very fair.
yeah. In the beginning, it was just nothing, uh, and then the Big Bang happened. And then I think it really took off when the community Discord, which I can see that little viscera there, the logo for that community Discord. I think that was one of the biggest things for Flesh and Blood at the time was that Discord. I joined that, and then I was like, oh, there are other people that are really into this game, and then because that's what got me started. So I'll talk about myself a little bit. Um, that's what got me started. I saw a case break on that community Discord, and I'd never heard of a case break before.
In the
Um,
Wall Street group or just in the general chat?
in the sales chat, so I was looking at like, oh,
Oh,
like what are these? Because I think I was looking for the price on one of my legendaries. I think I was looking to sell my Teklo. I had a cold foil Teklo, which we don't even need to talk about how much I sold it for because
no.
it'll be embarrassing if I cry on your stream. But I was
It
looking for the
yeah.
price and I found some sales things and then I saw somebody posting a case break. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So I was like, hey, what has this work? And they told me about it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, is that like something just you do? And they were like, no, you can look it up. And they threw me a link to like a sports card website that talks about how they do it with sports cards. And I was never a sports card hobby fan, so I had no idea about that. But yeah, that was way back in the day. And then I started doing those and I went from ordering, like the few boxes that I had from distribution. I think I ordered a case before that, but then I found out about case breaks and I went to PhD and I ordered, I think it was 3 cases. I think that was my first big order, um, which for me at that time, my store was tiny. Like I would buy like when a new wave of minis came out, I would buy like 2 of each of them. So I would spend a few $100s here and there. So my account was relatively small. And since then, obviously my account with PhD has exploded because LSS has just got me burning all my cash. my my
I feel you, man. It's tough.
yeah, but talking back to cash flow, like, yeah, it's got me like, okay, I got this payout from Shopify. I can throw that at that. I got this. I got it's just a constant recycling of that
Oh, I got
cash.
these
Like
Publix coupons. I can save money here
I
and
can
then
do this. Yeah, yeah,
cycle
right.
this
If
through.
these are worth a 1/100th of a penny, if I have 100 of them, I can get a penny, and I can pay that invoice. And yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So I started doing that, and I think I started. Yeah, I think I started with 3 cases of alpha, and
When
then
was this?
uh,
3 cases of alpha?
I think I picked those up in I want to say January of 2020. I think I went like
Nice.
a whole month not really other than personal like purchases. So I
What'd
think
you
it
do
was
with your first
January.
2 boxes? Did you open them and you sold the cards online, got some
Yes.
money, and
Uh,
then
so
put it
so
back
my
in?
first box I opened, I split with a friend. So the first box I opened and split with a friend. It was my friend Rob, not Rob Seigel, but not Tellurian Dropouts Rob. Um, but I split that box with him, and we were just hanging out. We built some decks together, and we played a few games. I was playing Rhinar, and he was playing Katsu, and he absolutely stomped me,
Uh,
which is well, I guess I should say, just cut me to pieces. I would have stomped him, but yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta
I fell
win
in love with the
fast
game.
against that Katsu or that just,
Exact,
like,
yeah, it
slice,
was
slice, slice, slice.
slice, 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 slice. Yeah, it was fun, but yeah, personal up until like January, and then I started doing the case breaks, and I went from my account being like every once a month I would pick something up maybe to like I was there like every other week, like give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. And he was like, dude, I'm
Wow.
seeing you a lot. And I'm like, yeah, this game one is really good personally. I buy a lot of it, like I buy a lot of it myself.
Mhm.
And then second of all, like I've actually found something that when I put it up on the internet, people actually want to buy it. And he was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've, you're like the only person that I have that like buys it, really." And I was like,
Wow.
"Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're like the only account that because there's more reps at the distribution center, but he was like, "Yeah, you're my only account that has it." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna convince the bar to carry it." And he was like, "Oh, that sounds cool," because that was the same thing with my LGS. We didn't really do retail games until Flesh and Blood.
Mhm. Wow.
And then obviously with the lockdown and everything like that, that was like kind of like a secondary source of income for them. But yeah, it was Wild West and everything was completely empty and no one was talking about it. And then that Discord happened, and then from there it just became a blur, man.
Mm.
I feel like you probably feel that a lot
Oh,
because you
yeah.
came in. You said you came in when Crew was just starting, or it
Yeah,
was like in the middle.
when it was just starting, so at the end of spoiler season, I think early September is
Ooh,
when I started, and
okay,
yeah, it's just been a constant tidal wave.
yeah,
You know how it is. You've been through it together. We've been
yeah,
both
man,
on the front lines of the
riding that.
battlefield.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's
It's
just
a roller coaster that keeps going up and down, but, like, the ups are always higher than the
yeah, it's
Yeah,
just been insane. But
yeah,
yeah, it just when I've talked to other people and I've looked at other types of things that happen in the market and just but all these old Discord threads and stuff, it just looks so small scale. It looked like
yeah,
we were a random little town that had like a
yeah.
population of like 500 and everybody knows each other's
The
names.
sign and you think they're missing a 0 and you're like, "No,
Yeah,
the town really only has 500 people in it."
yeah, and then you know what happened, man? They found gold in the water supply, so now
I know.
there's a bunch of people just piling in into this little dinky town just to get all this gold.
Yeah, it's crazy because I remember the first explosion in price when so I think I think the thing that dates it the most, is I can remember the first time I saw a post about the Heart of Faendal, and I was like, "That's a really pretty card. What card
Mhm.
is that?" Because I hadn't seen one. 'Cause a lot of people
Yeah, because
another
they
thing
didn't
that might have
announce
gotten
it,
lost
right?
to the exactly, yeah, it was a secret. So that was and that still gives me tingles, man. I just got tingles just thinking about it.
Yeah,
'Cause,
so
like, that is the
explain it to me. So what was the whole scenario
when
with
the
that?
so when the game launched, the page they used to have a page, and it's not I don't think it's there anymore. They've changed it now to just unlimited, but when the game first launched, it told you the rarities, and it said common, rare, super rare, majestic, and legendary. And it told you the pull rate per pack, and it was like none of these are guaranteed in a box, but this is a pull rate per pack. And then it ended. There was nothing after legendary, and you were like, "Oh, legendary, like 1 in 96 packs. That's like 4 boxes. That's so cool." Like it's kind of like it's kind of like a mythic. You only get them every once in a while, and like they're really good. And so that was
Mhm.
already exciting enough. Like that amount of rarities, you were already like, "Oh, cool! I can't wait to get my first legendary."
Oh,
And then
for
I saw they
sure.
were cold foils, and when I saw my first cold foil, man, I was like, "That's so freaking cool looking."
Yeah.
So I was already jazzed, and then I saw some posts in I think it was the Discord first of people just like, "What is this thing? What's going on?" It has an F at the bottom, and like everybody was like, "It's fake. Like who's doing this stuff? Like
F
this is
for
some
fake.
F for fake." Yeah, like no one knew what it was, and then
Wow.
like it came out and they were like, yeah, that's the Fable. It's 1 in 960 packs. It's a super chase variant. Like, I mean, not a variant, but like it's a super chase card. It's like 1 in 10 cases, and I
Mm,
was just like, they didn't tell anyone about this. They didn't tell anyone. This didn't leak. This didn't leak,
I
and
can't
like
ima
everybody was freaking out,
that's crazy.
and it was just I was just like that. That alone is just such a dedication to like making this product super cool, and like I thought that would be the end of it, but like they keep pulling out stops like that where you're just like, they don't reveal all this information. They give you little tidbits and they're like, it's going to be interesting, and you're like, I bet it is,
Bro,
and then they
Matt.
just go like, hey,
Yep.
guess what? While you were distracted by that, bam.
You are totally right, man. That is the biggest thing I think a lot of people don't understand is that they do really hide stuff in plain sight, and they don't give you all the pieces of information with everything,
Mhm.
it feels. They give you just enough to let you think about it and then discover things. And it really goes
Yeah.
back to that joy of when you're a child too, right? I don't know, that's what I think about it. When
Oh
you
yeah.
know you watch children, they're 4 and 5, and you
Mhm.
see them like laughing and playing and they're having a great time. And the reason why is because they're doing everything for the first time, you know? Like if they stumble
Everything
and
is new.
fall, that's new. They're like, "Whoa, I got a scrape. Look, it's bleeding down my knee. That's
Yeah.
cool." Yeah,
And then they're
so
like, and then later on they're like, oh, actually, this hurts. Can we not
yeah,
do this again?
I do not want this again. Yeah.
I don't
But
want that again.
same with Flesh and Blood. It's adult ass people figuring stuff out for the first time, and it's a little spark to that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so the first thing was like the revelation of finding this new rarity of card, which was is awesome. Yeah, it is very much like you just said. Yeah, like a kid's like joy of like, oh, something new.
Yeah.
In a game that was already super new. Like it's so cool. But then I saw posts for the price of the card, and it was $350. And
That's
I
overpriced.
it's absurd, right? For a
That's
square of cardboard
absurd.
on a game that just came out.
You only
That's what
gain 1
exact
health?
that my
Has no
brain
defense value?
my brain was like,
$350?
whatever. You find it in 10 cases, 300, that's way too much.
Yeah.
These boxes are like $80 a piece. What are you talking about?
That's
I'm just going to
price
find one.
fixing.
I'm just going to find one. I'm not giving anybody 350. So I did that for a long time. I still don't own a heart, by the way. Um, I have seen one in real life. If
Wow.
anybody has been with my channel since the beginning, I did pull one. I So based on statistics, I did my case breaks based pricing based on statistics
Mhm.
and general average price because I felt that was the only way to be like, here I'm providing this because I wasn't skilled in the way of case breaks or selling cards really at all, other than I had I had some magic cards on TCG Player, but that was like, oh, the market price is this, match it. I didn't have that knowledge of like, oh, what do I price a card at? What is it worth? Like, because for me, I'm like, oh, like a playmat, like what would I pay for that? And some people are like, oh, I just dropped $70 on this signed playmat, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to. I wouldn't do that. I mean, now I'm totally different because Fab's got me going crazy. But when I was playing Magic, I was like, I want like $20 for a playmat. Like, yeah, I guess that's fair. Um, so like my value of things is different than what some people see. So like if people are buying this hard at 350, and I'm like, that's insane. I'm not paying 350 for a card in a game that I can't even really like play because nobody around here plays it. So I was being an idiot in retrospect. Obviously, at the time, it felt
Hindsight
super
is
right.
2020, man. No, we
Oh,
all saw. Oh, we all said it. I've
yep,
made videos about the heart. Of course, people can check them. I didn't delete them. I could have,
yep. I left
but
that up.
I left
Yeah,
that shit up. I said on a comment, I was like, I think Shiana for $500 is way overpriced. That
it's
thing's coming down
overpriced.
when it gets reprinted. And I was like, it's a token. What is it's a
uh,
token? It's a hero token.
it's
They're gonna get people to
it's
play
just a
this card.
hero. Oh my
Ah,
god,
that'll
yeah.
be reprinted. It's gonna go
They're not
down.
doing it in one foil. It doesn't. Yeah, yeah.
Nobody could
So
predict it. And if they say they did, then they're full of it.
yeah, it's gonna come
Or they're
down. This
James
is dumb.
White.
What are you doing? Yeah. So that was essentially my opinion of the heart. And so I was doing these case breaks,
Mhm.
and obviously, in any case, theoretically, there's about a 10% chance of pulling one. So I took the value of a heart, which was 350 at the time, divided it by 10, $35.
Mhm.
So I said, you buy the Fable slot, it's $35. You get a chance at a Fable. Because theoretically, you could buy 10 of them, and you would probably get it.
That makes sense.
And this was probably around July 2020, when we hit that first big boom. People got into the game, and suddenly it was there's almost none
Oh.
left. Oh my god! So the price of the heart jumped to 500, and I was like, this is insane. People are paying $500 for this card now. I'm like, that went up $150. What is happening? And so that was the day I pulled one, and I I obviously looked down on it, and you can tell in the stream. I was, like when you lose a match and you're like, I could have had that, or like you get beat and you're just like, God.
Yeah.
That was me. You could tell. You can just see my hands, and the recording's bad because it was a really old camera, and it's just me, and I'm like, well, there it is, everybody. I friggin' pulled one, and it's going to this guy, and I sold it for $35. He immediately messaged me like, hey, I want insurance on that because now it's worth 500. I'll pay you, and I was like, okay, cool. I got to
But
see
hey,
one
at
at
least you
least. That's
have
exciting.
that experience
I
of
have that
pulling
recorded.
one.
Yeah.
You can
I
always
think there's
say
only
that you pulled a heart, a Fandel,
an
and
alpha
yeah,
heart.
an Alpha Heart, and it was on camera. And not
It
only
is.
that,
Yeah.
what is it? There's only essentially what 550. Well,
That's
maybe
the guess.
less
Yeah.
than 1,000 people in the world who could
Definitely.
possibly have opened that. And there's a lot of sealed boxes, so you're probably
Yeah.
maybe one of 300 to 500 people in the world to
Yeah.
ever open one, and probably less than that because a lot of people open
A
like
lot of it's
20 cases, so
yeah.
they probably
Yeah,
pulled
right?
multiple.
And I mean, Saint's working through all his, so
Yeah, he's churning. I
but
love
yeah,
that guy, man. I
he's
have
pretty
you
great.
seen his raw videos, man? I hope he
No.
pumps out like when he first got into content creating. I think on
Yeah.
Facebook on the Unsealed group, he published
Mhm.
2 videos that he later put on YouTube. But
Oh, okay, yeah.
he just says it like it is, and he was like, you know what? Watsy really shit the bed on this. They said this and then they did this, and
Yep.
I just am out. And Flesh and Blood,
I'm done.
this is real man's cards, and
Yep.
oh man, but I really like that. I really like that that kind of person really went into the spotlight because if you hear all his
Yeah.
videos, he's not talking about, oh, this is great ROI or I'm gonna invest in this long term and all.
Yeah.
He's just saying, I love the cards. This is
Yeah.
beautiful. I want a heart of Fandel. Yeah,
I
and I
love the
think he
cards,
finally got
and
one, right?
obviously, yeah, he also knows the money side of it.
Oh,
Like,
of
he's a
course.
he's a guy that's got you've seen his seal collection in one of the I think it was the second video he did on Unseals, where he
Oh
was just
yeah,
like, "This is all the magic I have. I'm done with it." And you were like, "You have that
yeah.
much? That's all graded." And
I
he's got them in
know.
the leather sleeves and everything. I was just like,
I mean,
"Oh."
what dollar amount do you think that is? It's got to
Oh,
be
it
in the upper millions.
yeah,
Like,
it's gotta be. There's 7 figures there.
yeah,
At least 7 figures. And it's just in this apartment in these, like, yeah, I mean, it's not IKEA, but it's just these regular everyday shelves. There's no, like, you expect him to be in a china cabinet on display, and he's just got them stacked like he
yeah,
was just like, "Oh, yeah, here's my graded," just threw it in the closet.
yeah,
But it's insane, and it's funny because a lot of people think that a person who invests in a game like that and has a collection like that has it all like neatly laid out and in binders, and they don't have bulk. But if you look at his like first 2 videos,
mhm,
now that I understand what we're talking about here, there's those first 2 Unseals videos, but where he was still the mysterious man who
yep,
Channel Fireball, bought out Channel Fireball. Um, you see when he pans across one of the cabinets, there is just card hotel on card hotel on card hotel,
yeah,
and you know that's just bulk jank stuff. So you know he's not just buying and trading high value cards. Like he's cracking boxes.
yeah.
He's got to be having like parties with friends where all they do is open product to chase these cards, which I think is super cool. I've thought about like trying to get like the local group here and be like, hey guys, let's like find a place and just buy as much as we can and just like put a camera like way up on the ceiling
That
and
would
just
be
record
cool.
all of us just cracking just keep going.
The
Like
floor is just
6 of us
littered with packs everywhere.
just packs, throw them in a mountain in the middle and see how high we can stack it. That's I mean, you can see probably a little bit of my bed, like my bed, my couch over there. I haven't done a case break in over a month because I haven't had product. I still have boxes stacked on there because I just as I'm doing them, I just throw them back there. So it's just I would love to do that in a group, and I think that would be really cool because that probably would also happen at an event where
Oh
like you
yeah,
would just have people because you would have somebody like hopefully a vendor like Channel Fireball or something, and we could just all buy product all at once and have a huge table like all the content creators just hanging out and just grinding them
Well,
away.
because they're gonna do mass box openings anyway, so might as well
Yeah,
just make
might
a
as
scene
well.
of it, make an event. Because with all the single cell that they do, oh man, how many? They must open so many cases, at
Oh
least a
my god,
thousand.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, maybe
at
less, but
least. I
yeah,
mean, well, because they're I mean, with CFB, you're getting direct from, LSS. You're not so, like, yeah, they probably open about that much.
yeah.
I'd guess.
So they get like $20 a box or something. No,
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I know it's, sub 50 because it's crazy.
and
I will
with your
oof.
store, are you that legacy type thing where
Yes.
you? That is cool.
Yeah, so
That is really cool.
I got in Legacy because, I mean, I was the pretty much as early as you could
Well,
get,
yeah, you are
adopter of it.
legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but they did the cutoff, I think it was October 2020.
Hmm.
So, if you had just started at the end of, after the big spikes, which I think was a really good choice on their part, was,
Agreed.
if you got into it just after that first spike, so, like, when it was like, "Hey, it's gonna dry up," and then, like, a week later, it was like, "Hey, it's sold out. What happened?" Um,
We told you
because
so.
yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we kinda told you." When they first announced it, I don't think they thought that that was gonna happen. I think LSS knew that this game was going somewhere when they were almost sold out of product in the first year,
Hmm.
and I think they thought they were gonna be like, "Hey, it's almost sold out. We want everybody that wants to play the game to get into the game." I don't think they expected the mass buyout that happened because the product went from I was getting as many cases as I wanted every week at distribution
Hmm.
to 1 week it was the last week. I remember the last week I got product because I picked up more Arcane Rising than I did Welcome to Wraith. Which retrospect made me kind of go, oh man. But I rotated cases like I need more Arcane Rising. People want that more of breaks, but he was like, yeah, I think it's gonna run out probably in the next coming weeks. And I was like, okay, so probably I got like a month. And he was like, yeah, at the rate it's going right now, we're gonna see a spike, and it'll probably be done by the end of the month.
Mm.
I called my rep the next week and I was like, hey, I'm looking to get some of this and this. And he was like, Welcome to Wraith and Arcane. And he was like, oh no, Arcane, they're both gone. It's all gone.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And he was just like, yeah, remember your order last week? Like it was like by the end of that day, it was all gone. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah.
Wow.
I tried to call you before the day was done, but I was literally on the phone all day and it's all gone. I was just like,
Wow.
holy crap. And he was like, yeah, it was insane. Uh,
Do you know what day
it
that
was
was?
crazy.
So, I mean, I know the first market spike when I first got, and it happened when I got into the game. I remember it was pivotal. It was around September, and I couldn't
Yeah.
believe my eyes, man. I saw the Welcome to Wrath booster boxes go from around 100 to a little less, up to like $300 a box,
Yep. Yeah.
and that was around spoiler seasons of Crew. And I looked at that one site that you mentioned earlier on. I forgot what the name of it was. Uh,
Miniature
miniatures,
market?
miniature
Yeah.
market. Yes, and it was
Yeah.
crazy, dude. One day
Mhm.
I was on the fence. I was like, should I buy this stuff? I'll wait. And then the
Eh.
next day at 11 p.m., I like everything was gone. It was just like
Yeah.
completely deleted. And I just thought, what the hell is going on? What drove that? Because there's a bunch of different things. Was it the thing where LSS said, "Hey, we're selling out better than we expected," or some other people have said there was an announcement of, "Okay, we're doing unlimited now," and that's what caused the spike. I never really
I
could pin that down.
I think it was I mean, and not to play, like easy answer, but I think it was a little bit of both. I think the first thing that started people kind of going mad dash for the product was they said, "Hey, we've printed what we've printed and we're not going to print any more first edition." And then people were like, "Wait, we're not going to print any
Oh.
more first edition?" And that kind of piqued people's interest. And then they were like, "Yeah, after this is going to be unlimited." And everybody went, "Oh, we know what this means." Pile the product. Yeah, like keyboards go
Oh, they
because
said
it
out
just
of print. Oh, that's big.
yeah. Yeah, they were like, "We're not gonna print anymore." I'm pretty sure that was the wording. "We're not gonna print any more first edition." Everybody went, "Ah, we know what you mean." And anybody that's been collecting things knows out of print means whoop on the price. So
Yeah.
I think that drove a lot of it. And the announcement of unlimited versus first edition happened, and I think that finalized it. That was like the coffin was pretty much closed, and then that was
Yeah.
the last hammer on the last nail, and that drove it in. Because I mean, since then, the market hasn't stayed still for more than
A week.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I guess what, December of last year was no, January of this year was kind of relatively just like, "Okay, cool. We're kinda settling in," and then, I mean, when did Crucible run out? Was that December?
I forget. I think
Yeah, it
Crucible
was
ran out around October-ish. I could be
yeah,
wrong.
it was earlier than that. It was October. So, yeah, like, by end of December, like, Crucible had kind of flattened out on pricing, and, like, January, we were like, "Are we good? Are we is some what's gonna happen?" Because by that time and I mean, especially with you coming in on crew, you know the feeling of like every month it was like nothing's happening
Yeah.
in a few days. When's Rudy going to drop his new little nugget of knowledge from
Yeah.
I talked to somebody at LSS and they I mean I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you but here's some
Yeah.
crazy market drama and
But,
you're like, "Oh,
Ira
well, here it
starter
goes
decks.
again."
And then just
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and
take
it's
my
some
credit
of the
card.
weirdest things. It's some
The
of the
welcome
weirdest
to
things.
investing deck.
Yeah, the oh my god, and it's like and they're talking about reprinting it, and you're like, "Yeah, that should keep the price down, right? That just should stop this nonsense."
Where the
And it's
hell
like,
are
"No,
those decks? Have
it's
you
got 2019 on it."
have you seen those new decks for the ones that
No,
and no
they
one has
were
ever seen them, and they can't see they've said for, like, what, 3 months that they're printing more, but I haven't seen
yeah,
anyone post about it. It's so
I
weird.
think the newest word on it is that Europe is supposed to be getting them before North America because they got the
Okay.
product last, so they wanna make sure that they get it first so that they can kinda catch up with us by so they can host welcome events. Whereas like North America had the, I mean Canada didn't. Sorry, Canada. But U.S. market had the welcome decks when the game came out,
Yeah.
which is crazy because I remember hosting our first welcome event went really well. We had a full case of Ira decks, which is
Wow.
great. Went through the whole thing in one day. We had 27 people show up. We only had 20. I think it came 24 decks. So we had we had a few people that had to share.
Mhm.
Got rid of all of them. The next week I asked for more and we got 12 because we weren't allowed to ask for two cases. They were like, no, we got to limit it. We want to
That
make sure
makes
everybody
sense.
gets a little bit. But our store got, I guess, in the end, 36. And we still have 6 of those left. And I'm still waiting to host another welcome event to get rid of those. But yeah, it was crazy because I remember just getting them and it was like nothing. It didn't matter. And now there's people that are, keeping them sealed and selling them online. And I'm like, if you have a welcome deck and you got it from somewhere and it's sealed and you want to sell it, fine. But you see these people and they're like, "Oh, half case of them," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Really? Come on." And
Do you
I
really
think it's
need
great
that?
because they've
Yeah.
started to crack down on that. I think they've taken a hard stance on that, and even I guess was it Kitchen Table MTG? He did that video like 2 days after that announcement of the like we're gonna crack down on stores selling armory kit stuff.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Yeah, one of our LGSs got called and like questioned about our events and when they were running them. It wasn't his story; it was another store.
Mhm.
But he was like, I heard that they got questioned about like when was that armory event you ran with that kit? What did you do with
Oh,
it? Like who participated?
and
And I was
where's the
like,
kit?
they're actually checking on this. And I oh, if like a huge company did something like that, you'd look at it and be like, oh, they're like pushing around the little guy. But when LSS does it, at least right now, I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, good because like this game is exploding.
Yep.
It's definitely not we're past the point because in the beginning it was like like is this game going to make it, we don't know, tcgs generally don't last that long. uh, it still gets asked every day in the groups, I'm sure you see it all the time, like how long do you think Flesh and Blood has before it dies like every other trading card game?
Yep. There's always
And
that
like
one negative Nancy, but dude, I don't believe
yeah,
a lot of those people. I think they
no,
secretly want to just buy more. I've seen a couple of those people for sure. Have you
yeah,
seen that guy in the Facebook group? He said, "Oh, Flesh and Blood this thing's never gonna last, and
mm,
putting money in collectibles is not good." And then
it's a
some
stupid
dude
idea.
replied on that guy's thing, and he's like, "Dude, I don't mean to out you, but you've been messaging me constantly trying to buy as much Flesh and Blood as you can off me."
You've been offering me 10 cents a card trying to
Yeah,
tell me that the game's gonna fail. I know what you're doing. Come
that's such
on. Don't be that
bullshit.
transparent about it. But yeah. Yeah. But in the beginning of the game, that was at least 3 posts a day.
Oh
How long do you
yeah.
think the game's got? How long do you think? And it was like, come on, guys.
Do you remember
1, I
the
don't want
time
to see this
before
post.
Unlimited? There's at least
Yep.
one person a week that says, "Well, guys, I have paper hands. I bought all this
I'm
stuff
out.
and I'm out. Please, who wants to
I'm
buy my
done.
collection? Here's the price."
Yep.
Yep.
Oh my god. Yeah. And it was all the time. And
Yep.
now obviously that's subsided. We're past that point. There's no I don't think there's doubt in most people's minds. I'm sure there's still some people that are like, I've been with, people that have played things back as far as like, the Star Wars TCG,
Hmm.
and stuff like that, where they're like, I've seen games that are really good and have a really big following still die. But I think most people at this point believe in it just as much as like I believed it when this game first came out.
Mm.
Um, I knew pretty early on that this game, because and it, I mean, it's kind of personal, so I guess maybe it's not like it's anecdotal, but like when I
Yeah,
played the
what
game,
really
I was
sold it
like,
for you, man? So out of everything, you
the
think?
just the fact that I played 4 or 5 games, and not a single one of those games, uh, I felt like, oh man, he just sweeped me. There's nothing I could have done. Like that game was just, I had a trash hands all the time. RNG got me, or like, oh, he just had better cards than me. It was always like, no, that was really close. Every
Mm.
game ends, and still to this day, every game ends within like 10 points of life. Like if I lose and I'm at 0, he's at no. My opponent is, he or she, they are at no more
It.
than 10 life. Yeah. So like I've had one game. I've had one single game, and it was against AJ. So AJ can get some, AJ gets some street cred
You
for
get
this.
some love for this?
Yeah, he was playing Katsu, and I was playing Viz, and it was classic constructed.
Hmm.
Uh, it was a new build for me. So I'll give myself a little bit of credit. I wasn't very. I'd only piloted the deck 3 times, and all those times were that day. But he was piloting Katsu, and he just slammed me. Like
Uh,
I was blocking poorly, and he was drawing the perfect cards, and like it was the perfect storm for Katsu that
oh,
round.
he's getting
He
all
was
his
at
lines, like his head
oh
jab to
he
rising knee
played through
thrust to
he played through the leg tap line, the head jab line, and through Lord of Wind,
through
like
Lord
in
of
one
Wind.
in one turn. Like he
Wow.
just it was the perfect combo. It was insane. He played through 2 lines and then into Lord of Wind. It was amazing. If I remember it correctly. Yeah, he I think he dealt, he had a card, like it was at the point where he was stacking cards because they wouldn't fit on the playmat. It was a perfect ninja moment. But he was at 26 health, 26 or 28 when
Hmm.
I was at 0. And that's the most blowout game I've ever had. But other than that, like every game ends, and I'm at like, maybe I'm at 5 and I won, and they're
Hmm.
at 0, or they're at 5 and I'm at 0, and I'm like, okay, if I'd had 1 or 2 more good turns, or maybe if I'd blocked that attack, I could have won that.
Yep.
And you feel good even when you're facing defeat. Even when you are losing a game, you don't have that feel bad. There's never,
It's like
like when
it's
people,
not left up to luck, is what you're saying. It's
yeah,
like, well,
yeah,
I could have won that if I had played it
yeah.
different, or
Oh, if I
I
blocked that,
did
I could
have
have
a
done that,
chance.
or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's not even, yeah, it's not even that it's not luck. It's that I had agency over that whole game,
Hmm.
and at any time, I probably could have done better, and I probably could have either gotten this life total closer, or I could have closed that game and it could have been mine if maybe I had this card in my deck or something like that. But you never feel like with other games where like all you have
Yeah.
are resources, and you're just like, I got nothing, no gas, or you're looking at your hand and like, I've got all gas. Where are my resources? I could totally play this card and I would win if I just had
Yeah.
the cards to play it. So I think obviously the resource system is phenomenal.
Yeah. It's really
Um,
good.
and the interactions between the cards is equally thematic, like we were talking about before, that triangle, equally thematic, equally mechanically diverse and complex. And then also just like the game is beautiful. The game is beautiful.
Yeah. It's just
And
got
it
so
it
much going for it, and
you've
what
got your
you're
checklist, and it's just
yeah.
checking them all off.
I feel you, man. And there's something that LSS has put on a lot of their banners and a lot of their marketing. And at first, I thought it was really lame. I thought it was like really weird. It said 100% great games. At first, I
Yeah.
looked at that and I was like, what does this mean? Like
Yeah.
100%. But what you just described, I think, really speaks to what that very
What that
specific
means.
thing means, is that all your games are great. Like all your
Yeah.
games, you did have some type of control. There was some type of decisions you could have made, or plays that you could have made that would have turned
Yeah.
the tide, instead of what you just said, where yep, you draw up 7
Yeah.
mana and you're like, well, I'm
Well, I got a
done.
mulligan that.
Yep, got a
Or
mulligan.
like, oh well, I can play this maybe, and you go into it and you're like, I shouldn't have played that hand. But in Flesh and Blood, it's just like, oh, I've got this hand. I might as well do with what I can. You
Yep.
look at it and you go, okay, I can do something with this. no matter what cards you have, you're like, oh well, I could. This isn't. Maybe sometimes you look at it and you go, it's not optimal. I would prefer this card. If this card was that card, it'd be a better turn. But
Yep.
you can always look at it and be like, oh well, I can at least pitch this and swing my weapon. I swing with hammer, or I swing with dachi. And you're like, yeah, I just had two Kodachis that turn. That was all I had. I had no other cards to play, but hey, I could have, I got some pressure on you. You had to
Yeah.
throw one card or take a few damage. And I think that balance is what really, yeah. And you're absolutely right. 100% great games. When I read that too. Like you saying that has brought that memory
It
back into
brings
my
it
mind.
back, right? And it ties that
Yeah.
together, and it's like a aha moment. You're like, "Oh, that's what
Oh
they
yeah,
mean."
right. Yeah, because it, it
Oh.
was it was just it was just something so silly. Because like, of course, the person that makes the game is going to be like, all your games are going to be good. But then you play it and you look back on it and you're like, nah, dude, you're right.
Yeah.
Respect.
They are 100% great games,
They
yeah.
are 100%. And if you're not, I think what the really great thing about it is you can't, if you're walking away from a game, and I think Rob and AJ have both said this to me. If you're walking away from a game and you're not learning something, you're not paying attention. Because
Mhm.
this game will always give you a point where like you can look back and be like, I could have done that differently. And if you're not looking at that and being like, oh yeah, well maybe I could have done that. Like if there's not one thing, you were just, you weren't paying attention. If your focus is getting better at the game, there's always something that you can look at and be like, that was the thing.
I
Maybe that was
totally
the thing.
agree. And another thing that I think that isn't really talked about as much is the cards, depending on their rarity, really doesn't
Mm,
matter. A lot of them feel very balanced and very powerful.
yeah,
The commons are really powerful, and I
yeah.
didn't experience that in Magic the Gathering. Like
No.
when I played, and I don't mean I love Magic the Gathering. I
Yeah,
have a lot of their cards. I'll keep
yeah.
them. I'm just
I still play it.
comparing, yeah, the power level. When you open up a booster pack, all the commons that you get there are usually trash. There's
Yep.
other sets that have been printed that have much better cards. Like you might get a 1 mana 1/2 with nothing. But
Yeah.
then you could
And
have
you're like,
another
yeah,
card in the past that had like a 3/2 for 1 mana, and that's
yep.
totally better.
Yeah.
So I
They're
didn't
just
like that.
objectively better.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's totally better. But with Flesh and Blood, you really don't have that for the most part. There
No.
have been, I think there's two cards, Come to Fight, and then there's this other one that gives +3 to an attack and it also ops. But even still,
Oh
that's
yeah.
just a very rare circumstance where that happens. I think the reason why they do that too is because if you want to run more of those +3, then maybe you get a
Yeah.
little bit less.
You
But
can still run more of them.
exactly, but you don't get
Different
as
card title.
much of a benefit. But overall, like all the
Yeah.
commons are very powerful. And
Yeah.
I personally, and again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, I'm just a
It's
normal
not
guy,
legal
but
advice.
yeah. Dude, I just don't want people to come back to me and,
Right.
2 years,
You
"Yeah, you
said
said
this.
this. You said
You said this
Shanna
in
was
2021.
overpriced at $500. Shame on you."
Yeah.
But
Shame on you. Yeah.
what do you think the commons are going to go for in time? Because I mean, the reason why other trading card game commons aren't very valuable, I think, is because they're
It's because
not
they're just
very
not
good.
playable at all.
But when
Yeah.
they are playable, what's that going to do to alpha commons? And I don't mean to run
Yeah.
up the market on alpha commons. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's pretty
I
late to get them now. But what do you think on
Yeah, right.
that?
I think the beauty of both of our channels is if we say something crazy about the market, like if I tell you I think alpha commons are going to explode in a week, it's not going to do anything to the market. Now,
Oh
if
no,
somebody else with a bigger, it's great. I think that gives us a lot more freedom to actually just say what we think,
of
which I
course.
think is cool. But yeah, I mean, alpha commons. I think eventually, at some point, you're going to see a premium on those because they're actually playable cards. I mean, not all of them, but unlike, we're talking about other games like, like Pokemon. There's Pokemon from their first print,
Hmm.
shadowless, that nothing. They're worth nothing.
Really?
Because a lot of people look back on their collections and you're like, oh, I've got this, and you're like, oh, what's it worth? And you're like, oh, well, it's maybe $1.
Like
It's
what
like,
card
okay.
and why?
So yeah, let's look them up. Let's see. We've got.
I
I'm
don't mean to
not
put you on the
right off
spot,
the top of
man.
my head. No, yeah, no TCG
Like
player.
Ponyta or uh
Yeah, let's
no,
Pokemon
because
Fresca.
that I know for Magic the Gathering for a fact, because there's a lot of cards in the like collector's edition, collector's international, and alpha beta cards that are only worth maybe $3 to $5, or
Yeah,
maybe $2 to $3 to $5, even though their print run was relatively small compared to modern day. But the reason
absolutely, much
why
smaller.
people
Yeah,
don't buy them is because why are you gonna run some rando artifact that does literally nothing in your deck?
Yeah,
There's like no purpose that you could ever build a deck around. But when you have Flesh and Blood cards that can be used in the future
they're
and be just
usable.
as good and usable and
Yep.
be competitive.
And this game is, as far as we know right now,
Yeah.
and maybe in the future it changes, but they have said they want to keep every set. It's non-rotating.
Yep.
So not only are they playable now or playable, in certain formats, like for Magic, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of old cards that are playable, but you can only play them in Legacy.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, they're not that good in that format because that format there's a lot more powerful cards, but some of them are playable. It's if a card is playable right now, it's probably going to be playable later too. Unless power creep had changed that. But like these cards that we're looking at right now, and we're like, oh, these are good cards. This is playable. It's
Mm,
gonna probably stay relatively playable throughout the history of the game.
I agree.
Um, and yeah, maybe the hero maybe all the Welcome to Wraith heroes will get banned someday. Maybe, probably not. But even if that happens, the class cards are still playable, and there's still going to be another hero down the line where you can slot that in. So I think yeah, definitely we're going to see a better premium than like old cards in other games where it's like, yeah, the commons are worth more than a common in the new set because commons in the new set are barely worth the paper they were printed on.
Yeah, because they were
You go to a store and you're like,
huge
I've
print
got
run.
10,000 and it's GameStop and they're like, here's $1.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I think we're definitely going to see a little bit more movement on those in the future than you would in another card game. Just because of the fact that, yeah, like you're saying, all of these cards are playable. Like the rares, they're in every like you can't build a deck. I mean, right now you don't have enough cards to build a deck without them. But like
Mm,
even in the future, when you have more cards, I think the game is very well balanced at the power levels of cards because you don't see other than Enlightened Strike, Command and Conquer, and the few that are everybody's just auto include any deck,
mhm.
just throw them in there. Essentially, not always, but like you talk about a deck and you're like, are you running any Command and Conquers? That's like a thing people ask people. Oh, like how many CNCs are you running? And you're like, oh well, let's talk about that.
How much
Um,
$100 bills do you have?
yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah. Because what's CNC sitting at around 60 something bucks right now,
Yeah, it's
even
yeah,
with
it's
unlimited.
yep. Well, and
But
to my mind, right? There's either two ways they can play this. Either they stop, so let's say for like Ninja, right?
yeah,
I can't imagine them constantly printing in the next 3 year Ninja cards because the
yeah,
the card pool would get insane, and then you
hmm
just have like a ton of Majestic cards, and you just have such a big card pool. I think they would have to really more limit it to where they maybe stop printing ninjas and they only
hmm
print like maybe two in each supplemental set, or else you'd
yeah.
have. But
The card
maybe
pool
I'm
grows
thinking about that.
exponentially.
Yeah, because then you
Yeah,
just run the rares instead of the commons, but then
yep.
are they planning on making just more and more classes or yeah, but other than that, maybe they make a format to where they say, "Hey, look, you can only have like 80% of your deck commons and, 10% of
Okay.
your deck rares," but they probably wouldn't limit it. What do you think on that
I
stuff?
think I think it's a really interesting concept because I think there's a lot of talk about like what if especially due to card availability, and we're talking about that.
Yep.
Like CNC is 60 something dollars, so if you want to run a playset, you're talking what 180
Yeah.
around there, give or take. This video will age and the market will change, but uh,
It'd be like a
yeah,
$500
just
Shiana.
disclaimer. Yep,
Yeah.
disclaimer. Right now, it's running about 60 bucks. Who knows what it'll be in the future? This is
Yeah.
not financial advice. I'm not trying to jack up the market, but yeah, I think either it will evolve out of if supply keeps going the way it is, it'll evolve out of necessity that players will just kind of build this format where they're like, yeah, we play at my LGS, we play not literally at my LGS, but like a hypothetical, like, oh, at my LGS, we play with only commons and rares. And it's like, oh, okay. And then if there's enough LGSs doing that because the players are like, we can't get the legendaries, it starts popping up. LSS is going to see that and they're going to be like, maybe we just make this official. Let's come up with something. So like, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I see that as a possibility down the road. I mean, you're comparing it to other card games, Commander, Elder
Yep.
Dragon Highlander. It came out of a fan created thing. Like that was Wizards had nothing to do with that. like they've recently adopted it and they've started to create cards for it,
They're like, "Wait a
but
minute. There's
they still
money
don't
here?"
exactly that Money?
To the
Yeah.
Batmobile.
Yeah, right, yeah. To the cardboard mobile.
Yeah.
But, like, so there's definitely that room for the players to not demand, but to create space within the market for that kind of response from LSS as well.
Yeah, some
Uh,
pauper
so
format.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So I think that's I don't I wouldn't even say is it going to happen? I would say when is it
When
going to
is it?
happen?
Yeah, I totally
I
agree.
think I think like Thanos, it is inevitable. It's gonna happen. That will happen. But unlike Thanos, it's actually inevitable.
Yeah.
He gets beat. Sorry to spoil the movie for everybody. You're
Ah,
a few years late on that spoiler. Um, but yeah, no, I think that's inevitable that we're gonna get some kind of like no majestics or one playset of majestics kind of popper format. Whether that'll be officially supported anytime soon, who's to say?
I think
But
it
I
definitely
think,
should. And honestly,
yeah.
I've made a video about it, man. I think that it would be perfect for the Monarch release because
Ooh.
nobody's gonna get like dick, you know. And I mean, I could be totally wrong. Maybe they
Yeah.
print a ton of it, but from
Oh
what I've
god.
heard from all the whispers around, I really don't think people are gonna get much of it, and it's
Yeah.
really gonna be weird. And I think that a lot of people have debated me in the past and said, "Hey, I don't think it could work because of the card pool." Well, it's
Yeah.
obviously gonna happen in time, like you and I said. It's inevitable
It will
in
happen.
time. But I
It will
think it
happen.
still could happen now because if you think about it, Welcome to Wrath, right? The hero
Mhm.
decks,
Yeah.
those were bulk rares and commons.
I think there were
There's only
3 rares in the Welcome to Wraith hero decks. One
yep,
of them is limited to that deck. It's, the Springboard Somersault. No, Lunging Press.
I think you're
Both
right.
of those. They're both in the decks. So it's like those are it's only a few rares. So and I can tell you this game is totally playable on commons and rares because that's how I build my
Yep.
hero decks.
Oh, me too.
For my store, I build hero decks out of literally just commons. I build entire decks out of just
And the
commons.
game is still fun.
And the game is still fun. I've played with those hero decks that I build. I build them off the LSS deck lists. I take out the rares of those. I get those cards, and then I slot in a few other commons, and the deck is still one playable, and the game is still two fun. So I think that's the only requirements for a game. It works and it's fun. So I think at definitely even now, like anybody that says the game's not it's not playable with just comments, like that's just a lie.
Yeah.
It's just something you're saying because you don't want that kind of thing to become a thing. Because you and it's fine to admit you're a power gamer. If you are someone who's super competitive, it's totally okay to be like, I'm super competitive. I would have no fun playing that format.
Oh
That's
yeah.
totally cool, dude. Play your format with all your majestics in your $600 deck with all your cold foils and your equipments and your heart in there and everything like decked out. Every card is foil.
Your Viserai 3
Run it,
Fable
man.
deck.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
run it. Try Fable, like everything. Do it, dude. I love it. Yeah, I'd love to watch you play that deck. I'd love to watch anybody play that deck,
Yeah.
honestly.
It's
But
just a different
me,
flavor of ice cream, you know? Everyone likes a
exactly.
bunch of different things, but I'm with you. Like I like just playing with commons sometimes. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's
And of
fun.
course I will say it is a less skilled version in my mind because some of
Yeah,
those other, the majestics and super rares and above, those are
yep.
really more of big brain, like
You get
comboing a
those
bunch of things
those
or
text
setting
box that
up.
are a little longer.
Yeah, it's a little bit more reading there. You have to
Yeah.
put your
There's
reading
3
glasses on.
sentences on a card instead of 1.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
than that, I
definitely.
mean, you can definitely play with commons, but
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And this game is still so fantastically fun. It's definitely gonna happen. There's gonna be some kind of if not officially supported, at least fan supported, pauper format of some kind. I thought about trying to kind of get an event like that going, like a digital one,
mhm.
just like a thing to be like, hey guys, let's for all those people out there that you say you can't afford the legendaries, you can't afford this that. Let's just play it. Let's play a commons and rares only tournament because everyone and like even with product shortages, everyone can get their hands on bulk
Oh,
commons and
you could
rares.
go on eBay and get, like,
There is
1,000 cards for what, 20 bucks or 30?
even if you don't even want to go on like even if you don't even want to like buy a ton of cards, you can just go onto the Facebook group. And even if you're not on Facebook, go into the Discord group and be like, "Hey guys, I want to start playing this game, but I don't have any cards and my LGS is out of stock." And
Here's
they
my
said
PO box.
they might not get it. Yeah, exactly. And somebody will be like, "Hey, send me $8. I'll ship you a box full of cards." And like, yeah, you're only going to be able to build 2, maybe up to 4 decks with that. But what do you need to play? 2 decks.
Yeah.
All you need. And that's a thing that like anyone can do. So I get it when people are like, "Oh, this game's too expensive. I don't want to buy the legendaries." It's like, yeah, but you don't need them, man.
You
There's a
don't.
difference between need and I want. And if you want to play at that competitive level, the reality of it is, even at their lowest point, the legendaries were selling for $70 plus. They were never cheap cards.
Yeah.
Like, I think the cheapest I ever saw a legendary for was because somebody was cashing out of the game early on, and they were just like, "Look, $100 takes my whole collection," and it was a like 6 or 7 packs worth of cards, and there was a legendary in there, and there I was like, "Oh well, yeah, that's a good buy." I didn't buy it, but I saw you could see people cashing out, and those cards were a little cheaper. But like now, I don't think we're gonna see a legendary below 100 for a
Yeah.
long
No.
time. So, and that's fine, because that card, theoretically, if you were to buy packs and just open packs and not get lucky, you'd need 96 packs to do it, and that's going to cost you well over $100. So I think that's a good spot for that. And anybody that's saying they should be sub 100 significantly, like there's some people that say they should be like $50. No, it
Hmm.
shouldn't be more than. And I'm like, I would I love to find one for $50? Yeah.
Of
And sometimes you'll
course.
go on the Facebook auction page and you'll snag one for $60. Congrats. That's a great buy. Always buy that.
Oh yeah.
but but like, you can't say that it's too expensive at 100.
A
It's
hundred.
just
You're right.
not
I mean, that is true. 100 isn't too bad, and I
for a
mean,
card that's super playable.
yeah, and if people are getting into the game, I do understand from the collectability, or no, from the playability side,
From
if
the
you want to
playability, yeah.
compete, because I have heard in the past when I said that, hey, you just still have fun with commons and stuff,
Yeah,
but someone was like, oh, well, I don't want to go into my LGS every week and get my ass beat by the guy who has a legendary card that
that's
wins a
fair.
couple health points, and I was like, you know what?
Yep.
That is a good point. I didn't think about it like that, but
Yeah.
I
Getting
think to the
constantly smacked is rough.
yeah, of course. Well, but then there's so many different options that you can pick. Like, there's the sealed format, which I don't really play, but that looks cool, where you just open
I love
packs
it.
and
I
it
love it.
looks. Oh man, I want to play with you guys sometime when all this stuff. Like, I haven't been getting out as much in the real
Oh man.
world, but
I pretty much go to work and then I go home.
yeah,
I definitely feel that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
what is it? Yeah. There's that option, or I mean,
Yep.
I've competed in a tabletop simulator. Man, that's the second
Yeah.
biggest thing that you can do. I mean, I competed in a tournament in the UK with cards that I
Yep.
did not own. It's just
Yep.
like just played with a bunch of people, and
Because
it was a good time.
it's for fun. You're
Exactly.
playing for fun.
Well, and
And
if you win the tournament, you can get prizes that you can
yeah,
sell, and then you can buy the
and then
cards you
buy
need.
cards. Yeah.
And I
This
like
game,
that format. That is a cool thing.
it's a beautiful format. Yeah,
It
this game
is.
is very good at the ability, excuse me, the ability to get in, and all you got to do is just play a little bit, hang out, win one event, and that goes right back to it. And if you're one of those people that's saying you want to compete, I hate to break it to you, but you at some point you just gotta start grinding.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of competition. I understand the struggle of starting out and being like, I don't know if I want to drop, because yeah, if you're starting from zero, let's say you have zero cards and you want to build a competitive level deck, some of those decks cost like $500 plus, and if they've got a Fable in them, obviously it skyrockets. But when you're starting, you don't have to start with Matt Rogers' deck list. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary, one, and like, if you're just starting at a competitive level, you're not gonna know how to pilot that deck well enough for that to even matter.
Yeah.
So get what you can. If you're still not winning, wait a few weeks, save up a little bit of cash, drop it in the game. Wait a few weeks. If you're still not winning, drop a little cash in the game. If you don't enjoy that grind, I
Yeah, it's just
I
not
don't
gonna
I don't
work
want
out in
to
the
I don't
long
I don't
run.
want to say it's not for you, because
Yeah.
like I can't dictate that for you. Like, I can't tell you what to do or what to enjoy or what to feel. But like, there are certain elements of trading card games that, like, they're inherent to a game. There's only
Yeah.
so many things that LSS can change and make cool and make better. Like, they changed the resource system. They can change that, but they can't change the fact that tournaments require effort and pain, you
Well, and I
know?
can tell you for a fact, I mean, you could always find I've seen so many different tournaments for the Armory one, right?
Yeah.
I've always seen at least one there's probably at least 3 or 4 a month that you
Mhm.
can use Tabletop Simulator for
Yeah.
and join in. You don't need any cards. You just have to
Yep.
pay the tournament fee, and then
Yep.
you can just play from anyone around the world, and you do not need any card. You can build any
Yeah.
deck that you want. So I think
Because the
that's the
store's
perfect
just
thing
fronting the
there.
prizes.
Exactly. And then when
Yep.
you win the prizes, you can get those prizes and literally just sell them off. Those play mats are worth money. The cold foils are worth money. And then you buy the
It's cycle.
legendaries and whatever you need, and then you can enter the real physical card game. And
Yep.
I know there's a big negative connotation about the collectability and all the prices of the cards, but
Mhm.
I met a really cool competitor in the last I competed in the Deck Edge tournament, and,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a lot of fun, and there's a guy who really just made me really woke. He was talking about this other game that he played competitively in,
Mhm.
and he said it's a hurt when I was hearing him because he said, "I really loved the game, it was a lot of fun to compete with, but, you know, nobody would show up for tournaments, nobody cared because there was no
Yeah.
secondary market on there." And if
Yep.
you look at the prize support for Flesh and Blood, it's mainly playmats and cold foils that are worth a lot of money. But can you imagine
Yep.
if a playmat was worth like $10 and cold foil was worth, $5? Not as
Yeah.
many people would really care
Or if
to
there
win.
or if there just weren't those cold foils or playmats and it was just the extended art promos, no one
Exactly.
would care.
No one would care.
Armory events would just go unattended.
Exactly, and
You
that's why
you
he
need
was
that.
happy. He's like, "Yeah, I'm loving this. The Flesh and Blood
Yeah.
is worth a lot of money because when I win tournaments or when I'm doing this, I can get the stuff."
I
And
feel
what do
like I
you
got
yeah.
something that was worth it.
Exactly. I got
Yep.
something that was worth my $10 or $20, buy-in,
Entry
and
fee, yeah.
yeah, it was just a really eye-opening thing. I was like, "Wow, that's cool that he
Yeah.
has this mindset." And yeah, well, it's just our opinions, but um,
Yeah.
I
I
feel
mean,
you,
what else
Matt.
can you put out there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So uh-huh.
it's definitely a good thing that they've got going is keeping these playmats limited to prize support.
Mm,
Because then it's like it's not an option to participate in the community to get these things. It's like you have to be there. You have to do that. Or the way it's working out right now is you have to participate in the community and play,
mhm.
which gets people to play the game, or you can shell out a ton of cash and just buy them. Sure, do it. And I don't mean to in any way, shape, or form diminish people that just buy all these playmats.
I
That's
do.
fine. If you want to, oh, I mean, if you just want to buy them, that's
I love it.
fine.
No, I don't buy a ton of them, but I bought,
Oh, I don't
ones
either.
that I wanted.
I try to win the ones I get, but it's I mean I won't lie, I've snagged a few on eBay when I see them and I'm like, that's low enough for me.
Yeah.
I am hoping that at some point they release that maybe not the original generic mat, but a generic mat so that people can just buy them for regular,
Yeah, didn't Channel
15 to
Fireball have them?
25 bucks. They had some that you could buy with kits, but they were like the ones that they released, the Crucible
Oh.
War ones.
No, I thought they printed generic ones as well. You're talking about, this baby, right?
Yeah, those were some of the original playmats they sent out with armory kits, and
Yeah.
they've continued to release them through other retailers, but you can't, as far as I know at least, you can't just buy the mat. It was like buy a box and get this. Um, so I think it's really interesting because I think those hero mats are perfect the way they are. I don't
Yep.
think they should ever release those as a retail product ever, like ever. Those should always be something you win because that will always feel special.
Well, and they solidified that recently in their post. They
Yeah,
said, "Hey, don't screw with us in our IP." Like the reason
yeah,
why we printed, well, no, I'm paraphrasing here,
yeah.
but if
That
that
was
was
not the
not
official wording of the
clearly
article.
apparent, don't fuck
No,
with
I heard
us.
James White say that. He was like, "Don't screw with it."
Yeah. No, but
He's
that
that kind of
basically
guy.
said, yeah, don't do that
Yeah,
because we
we're
print
not
these
playing around.
playmats and we want them to be special to the people who have won these tournaments, or if you
Yep.
had a big enough wallet to buy it on eBay.
Yeah, if
And
you had enough motivation to shell out the cash to buy it.
exactly. Which is good. I feel you, man. They
Yeah,
and there's so much different artwork. I mean, there's so many other things they can print and put like I mean, why the heck have they not put the region of wrath
the
on
lore map. Oh my god, it's right behind you, and I keep looking at him like that would make such a
dude,
good
I'm buying it. Like the second I
Oh, the
see that,
second that happens. Oh yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna track
It
down the person who wins that armory event.
What's your price?
Yeah.
For what? For the you know what for? Don't you
Don't
even?
play dumb with me.
You've got 10,000 messages today. I know it.
You know you
Yeah,
want that
like,
legendary card.
and I mean, thinking about just mats and like awesome things that have come out. Those skirmish mats, man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want that scar for a scar mat, and I love that. So it was really weird because we were when skirmish was announced.
Mhm.
It was at first it was like, hey, you're gonna be able to do it in store. Our local play group was like, yeah, but it was like, yeah, we're gonna be playing the same people that we have been this whole time because our group grows, but people come and go, and but we've got a pretty core group that comes every week. And it was really exciting still because there's 6XP, these new prizes, all this cool new stuff, and then they moved to online only, and it was like, oh, okay, well, how are prizes going to work? And then it was like, oh, we're going to ship them out directly, and I was like, dude, that is
That sounds intense.
commitment
Yeah.
because
You
I
thought
don't know
that
if
too?
people notice this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think everyone noticed this.
I
So
don't
when
think so at all.
LSS said they're going to ship out the prizes themselves, I don't think people think about how much money that is costing the company. If you want to talk about, let's just say there were 100 skirmish events
Mhm.
and there are 10 prizes per. That's 1,000 prizes. If I did my math right, I'm not good at math. Double check me. It's 1,000 prizes, and let's say they all go to different people.
Mhm.
Just shipping an international letter. Let's just say it was one cold foil, and they put it in a plain international letter.
Yeah.
That's a few dollars. Okay, playmats can't fit in an international envelope. That has
No.
to be a package. And I'm going to tell you right now, an international package worldwide costs at least
Tw
$12
$12? Yeah.
of that size. So you're talking, you got two per event. So that's 200 mats times $12. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And we're talking this on a small scale. I'm saying, what if there were 100? There are way more than 100 events. We're talking
Oh,
tens
yeah.
of thousands of dollars just in shipping. They also paid to print these playmats and these cards. I don't think people notice the magnitude
Well,
of commitment to this game that LSS made when they said, we don't want LGS is taking these prizes and selling them online. We're not even going to give them a chance to. We want the people that play in these events to get these prizes, and we want to ensure it. They're shelling out massive amounts of
oh,
money for
yeah,
this.
dude, and not only okay, so they have to pay the people to create the playmats and cards that get shipped to LSS, and then they have to hire, like, 10 interns to write down all the addresses, or maybe they
Yep.
print out all the
Oh, I'm sure
stickers
they're
from
printing
their
it out, but they still got to
yeah.
stick these labels and do
They
it.
still have to stick on the labels and put them all that, and then you send out 1,000 of them, and then you're gonna get, like, at least 100 scumbags who are like, "I never got my playmat."
And they got to
And
filter through that and be like, is that true? Let's look at the
yeah.
tracking. It says it was delivered. Yeah, this is a huge
It's a
commitment from
huge
the
commi
company
and
that
a
makes the
lot of
game.
money. Yeah.
It's it's insane. That was the first thing I thought when they said we're shipping it out directly. I was like, I ship packages internationally. I know what
Yeah.
that costs.
See, and
I
that's the different mindset you have, and
I
I've talked to a bunch of different stores, and I understood that too. I was like, "Oh my gosh."
oh
Because when you're a trading card game company, you want to just be a trading card game company, and
yeah,
I
you
think
just
that's
want to
why
send those cards to somebody and make your money and be done with it. That's the
exactly.
best way to run your business.
They don't wanna do the media side, they have us
Mm-mm.
do it for free for them, they don't wanna, like, ship cards out, like, to individual people, they don't wanna
Yeah,
have to do
that's
any of that extra stuff, and I like that, I like the corporate focus, they're very focused on
yeah.
what they do, but that really shift their focus, which is very an odd play for them, and in a sense, did you kinda get in my mind, I thought, like, wow, that's kind of a really big diss to local game stores, that's like saying, "Hey, we don't trust you guys." But
I th-
maybe it's not a diss. Maybe it's just like, hey, this will make everything easier on the local game stores because then people won't. Because I know there's a thing or two where
yeah,
the normal people are like, hey, you're supposed to be getting this store. Why didn't you get this? And then they say,
yeah.
dude, I didn't get this. And then
I
and
just
the
went in and
people
they
are
didn't have
like,
it.
you're holding it behind your register,
Yeah.
aren't you? And you're
Yep.
saving it for 3 years to pay for your kids' tuition in college. So like
No.
so if LSS says that, then maybe it gives the mass people out there more of a like, oh,
They're
okay,
taking the heat.
yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't get it. Maybe it's more of a that. What do you think on that?
I think you've got a good point there. A lot of
Yeah.
stores, if they had sent it out. So let's pretend they'd sent this just to stores like regular armory kits,
Yep.
which you pick up with your distributor. Uh, I think a lot of stores would have gotten that heat because
Mm-hmm.
it's there are inherent problems when you send a product from your place to someone else, and then it gets to the store. things get damaged, things get lost. The amount that you send out doesn't meet the demand. Another store signs up a little bit late and then they need one, but you haven't sent it out.
Hmm.
There are always problems in that chain because the more people, it's just like conspiracies. The more people that you add to that level, the less likely it is going to work out perfectly like you said it would.
Yep.
So when you do that kind of stuff, I mean, like I was talking to Deck Edge one time and he was like, yeah, I didn't get an armory kit yet. And I was like, what? It's like the 10th. And he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, they said they didn't have any left, so I'm waiting on another one to come in. I think they said they were gonna hook me up, but they don't have it yet. And I was like, that's crazy. I didn't know some stores didn't get them every single month because I go in on the first. I make sure this month it was the third I picked up our armory kit for my store. I made them find stuff to order so that I had a reason to go to the distributor and be like, I want my armor kit, please. It was the third, and I was feeling like we gotta get there, we
Oh,
gotta
that's
get it
too funny.
because I never thought about the fact that like yeah, especially with this resurgence of stores getting into the game, that it's possible that they send out armory kits at this level of demand, and by the time they get here, there's this level of demand.
Yeah.
So like you gotta be diligent, you gotta get your stuff. But I think them sending it out directly from them is a commitment to the stores that are doing it right
Yep.
because they are rewarding those stores by saying, hey, we know that this isn't your forte, possibly, because a lot of stores don't do online tournaments. They don't do online stuff. They're a local store. They are truly local,
Yep.
which you can judge them for that because it is a digital age. We're in the 21st century. If you're running a business, you got to get good at digital things. I'm not saying you have to be a tech wizard and know how to hack the mainframe or whatever. I'm not superbly technological. I can run basic tech stuff, but you need that basic competency.
Yep.
But I think LSS was like, hey, look, we know things are weird. We know you've had a hard year already. We're going to take that heat for you. And it also got them the added benefit of people looking at that kit and knowing you're offering these prizes, they will get to the players 100%. Because
I
that's a,
really like that verbiage. I do think, you know what?
yeah,
The more that I think about it, you're right. They most like, and especially if they're spending that much money, they probably wanted to
yeah.
take the heat. But this leads into another question is
Ooh.
they're saying, "Hey store, you're doing a good job, buddy. Keep it
Yep.
in there. Keep in the game. I like what you're doing. I'll take this heat for you because we're doing this online." But why
Yep.
did they choose to go online? Like, if you think about that whole thing with skirmish events online, I mean, that goes
So
kind of against their whole thing of being, obviously in person, playing the game in person. But I guess with everything going on in the world, maybe that's the reason.
yeah, I think it
But
was
it's just an
definitely the
odd
major
precedent
thing.
to set to say, hey, skirmish event online. But I don't know.
Yeah, they've definitely adapted. So the game came out and it was we were not in that world. When this game came out, things I mean, believe it or not, if anyone remembers the time where we weren't worried about the plague, there was a time when we just did whatever the hell we wanted to, and gathering was not even anywhere near worrisome. Um, Not that a lot of Americans care about that anymore. Anyways, they've just shrugged it off and think it's nothing. But there's a good percentage of this country that is still, we still feel that. We still feel that that feeling of like, oh, like we got to be safe. We gotta stay in when we can. Now it's kind of like, well, I can see my friends, but I shouldn't be going out to a concert and being in a mosh pit and
Mm,
you know uh
damn.
just sharing drinks with people, that kind of thing. But it's I think that they're adapting to the world that they're in, and they know that they have to. Because I think if they had been like no TTS, this game is in person only. You cannot play online, and because they can.
Yeah.
TTS is technically it is breaking IP. There are games that people try to import into Tabletop Simulator, and the IP holder says no, you must buy our game, and that's totally within their rights, and that's not
Oh, of
a lot of
course. I
people.
don't know how they get away
Yeah,
with it from a lot of shit they do. Like
there's
tabletop
so many games
simulator,
on
it's
TTS. I'm like,
insane.
how does this happen so much? Like, I get a
Especially
few
those
games
niche
being on
board
there going under the
games. Huh?
things that are under the radar, like games that are really old. I
Yeah.
get it. The people that run those things probably don't even know Tabletop Simulator exists because they're like a 90-year-old trust fund manager that's just like, I own the rights to this old board game, and I'm just we're still making money. Who cares? Or they just don't pay attention to it at all. But like LSS is an active company that has a strong digital eye, maybe not as strong a digital presence, which I
Mhm.
think is one of their big miscomings is their digital personal corporate digital presence isn't very strong in a way. Um, like sometimes we don't get communications from them until it's kind of already been disseminated by other people. Like Rudy drops things that I think should come from them.
Dude, I think that's on purpose because
I think it might be.
then it's like then they have so much plausible deniability because if he
They get to
says
test
it,
the water. They get to poke
yeah,
the toes in.
that's
Yep,
it's really the best of both worlds because he gets
it
really
really
good
is.
content, and I love it because Rudy gets to spoil the stuff and say, "Hey, maybe Crucible War is undervalued," and then LSS gets to say, "Oh yeah, we're probably not going to do Crucible Unlimited." Like
We
it's
have no
like
plans for it.
yeah, so it's really a good point to where, and if you notice when they timed it really perfectly, man, because they timed that news literally right after Crucible War spiked to $600.
Yeah,
So they can release the information they need to without really affecting the market because it already got hit.
oh, because it already happened.
I think they
Okay,
play that stuff brilliantly, but I do agree with your main point that they aren't very there's not as much communication going on.
with the
It's
mass
very
player base.
yeah, to the mass player base as much
Yeah,
but I
I
think it's done on purpose at this point in time, but I do think it'll
that's yeah,
get
that's
bigger.
possible.
But yeah.
Yeah, I do want to on a side note of that to just tally it in there, tack it on there.
Mhm.
Their OP and their store communication, from my experience and
Mhm.
from what I've done, is very good. I gotta give them that.
What is OP?
Organized play. Sorry, yeah,
Oh, no, you're
organized play.
good.
OP organized play. Yeah. So Alan Hale.
Alan
I'm
Hale?
sure everybody knows Alan, because he's great because he goes on people's streams. Like he has been. I've watched Tolarian Dropout streaming a game, and then Alan's in there commenting, and I'm
That's so
like,
cool.
this dude has a full time job that is I don't even want to know how much he works because I guarantee you it's way too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously his output is amazing
Especially
because
now.
yeah, oh my god, especially after every time the market explodes, I'm sure his job becomes even more hectic and more complicated, and just he gets 1,000 emails a day. But
Mhm.
even now, like I have messaged him from my store, my personal store, Fab Arsenal, and he has replied to me and been like, "Hey, I hear you. I will try to help you with that. I'm super busy." And I'm like, "Dude, no, you got it. Like, take your time." I'm like, I'm a store that sells a few $1,000s a month of your product. I'm not some LGS that's selling 100 boxes in a day. I know I'm kind of on the lower tier there, but he still gets back to me. Like this human being that is running all of this stuff still has time for these smaller stores. So I gotta give him credit for that. Because I don't like when anybody just sits there and says like, "Oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Let's talk about it." It's like, no, you gotta say like, "This is bad," but on the other hand, this is pretty dang good. Because
Yeah.
I think that's that. I mean, constructive criticism. It's the best way to talk about things. So, yeah, I don't know what I was saying before that because I've totally forgot about it. Because
You
Alan
have a
is
good
just so
point
great.
with feedback though, because I've realized my shortcomings. And I mean, when I first opened Crew, I thought that the cards didn't smell very good. I thought they just didn't have any scent, and
Yeah,
I was such a doofus. And then afterwards, when I opened Unlimited Welcome to Wrath, I smelled it. I'm like, this is too much scent, and I was like, oh man, I
this is
really
weird.
missed the Crew where it was just like a very light
Crisp, clean.
mist. It was just a mist. It barely, but it was there, but it was just very refreshing mist. Well, like, I missed that mist,
Yeah,
the whole point of me saying that goofy thing is I had given I had an opinion here, but then I realized later on that my opinion was a little bit flawed, and maybe I didn't get the full picture. Maybe
yeah,
more time. So it's good, like you said. You give your comment, but it's very constructive. Hey, this is
yeah.
how I see it at this time. It's not like I'm wrong or right. It's just how I see it.
It's
But
just how I see it. Yeah,
yeah,
from personal experience, this is what I observe.
yeah.
Which I think is a lot of people miss out on that when they comment on things like this, and it's still this community is still great.
Oh,
You also gotta give credit to the
hundred
community because
percent.
even when right now the Flesh and Blood community, our community, because
It's the
it
best.
really is a community. It is phenomenal. It's the best trading card game community I've ever been in, and like
Same
every
by
day
far.
I think about it, I'm like Yeah, man, it's still pretty solid. Like every once in a while, I look at it, I'm like, oh, maybe we're. There was a few times where somebody's complaining and like everybody's getting on the comments, and I'm like, oh, are we taking that turn? And then like the next day, I just see like some of the most wholesome just stuff. It's just all over the place, and somebody's like, I'm missing like this one card. Can somebody help me find it? And somebody's like, dude, PM'd you. I got it. It's on your way. Like I already mailed it. Like, and they're like, oh, I didn't even. I would have paid you. And he's like, nah, man, I don't care. I got 1,000 of them. See you later. And you're like, no other community does that.
Wow, that is
Every other
amazing.
community is like, oh, you want that card? I got it. What you want to pay for it? And you're like, okay, the money's the first thing they're thinking about. And in this community, it's like, my LGS wants to pick up the game, but they can't get any welcome decks. And somebody's like, I'll send you 1,000 commons and rares right now. And you're like, no questions asked.
It's so
People
awesome.
just do it.
Yep.
And it's great. And I mean, not to toot my own horn, but charity stuff like we've
Yeah,
seen
tell
in
me
the
about your
Unseals group.
charity stuff, man. Because
Yeah.
I've seen that a little bit. I want to get the full picture. What are you doing?
So I was on stream one day, and I've had a few what I would call good ideas. So I started talking about my idea for a legacy case break, which
Hmm.
at this point is an absurd, far fetched reality. Because it would be just stupid expensive to be at a market value. So what I wanted to do was when the game was still small in the young days, the single celled organisms were just forming. When the cards were just exiting the packs, I wanted to do a break where instead of opening a case, it would be one box from every set. And at that time, Monarch was still just. It was still called Monarch because that was also insane. They didn't give it a keyword or a secret name or anything like that. On the website, it said Monarch Q1 20. I mean, at the time was wrong because they bumped it, but it said Q1 2020. And I was like, ooh, I wonder what the set's really going to be called. It can't be the name that's been up there for 6 months. And then it was just called Monarch.
Oh, it's too
But
funny.
that's totally different. Totally getting off track. But I wanted to do a thing where I would open a box of Alpha, Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, Crucible of War, and a thing of Monarch. And it would be like you'd have a chance at cards from every set, which is now obviously just an absurd idea. Because I would have to be like, well, now it would be insane. But
Yeah,
so I
because
thought of
back
that
in the day, you're
on
like, oh,
stream.
this will be $400. It'll be a
Yep,
blast.
it'll be great. Yeah, it'll be a few $100, and
Now
people
it's
it'll
like,
be more
oh, let
expensive
me
than a regular
reverse
break.
mortgage my house, and yeah.
Yeah. Now it would just be absurd. But so I had that idea, and I was spitballing it on stream because I'd been thinking about it, and I wanted to get like a kind of a gauge of the community's opinion because I think it was like 18, 19 people on stream at the time. So it was like 20 people is a good sounding board to be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? We started talking about it, and then somebody was like, oh, it'd be really cool. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if like there was like a charity for Flesh and Blood. And somebody was like, why don't you just do it? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, why don't I just do that? And so I was like, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll set aside some of the product that I have, and I'll do charity case breaks. So I set aside 2 boxes of, and this was after Unlimited was out. I set aside 2 cases of Unlimited, Welcome Wraith and Arcane Rising, and then 2 cases of Crew. And this was when Crew was still readily available, so that wasn't a huge deal at the time. And I was steadily getting product still at the time. So I did that in December of 2020, and that was the first one. And by the time I had launched that, Crew was,
$100.
starting. Yeah, it was starting to go up. And everybody was like, "Oh, this might be like the last chance at Crew," and I was like, "No, I set aside the product for these breaks already. Like I miscalculated, and I've got the one for each break, but I still have one more case for my last charity break, which is going to be. I haven't set the date for it. I really wish I had set the date before we started doing this, but it's going to be sometime. I'm hoping next month, because I actually am moving to a new house, so I can't do it this month. Yeah. I just bought my first house.
Congrats, man.
Not from selling Flesh and Blood, but yeah. A lot of people think that you can do that, and no, I didn't do that.
I'm having my retirement party.
Yeah. My store's doing well, not that well. Yeah. So
That's really nice
started,
of you, man. And
yeah.
I can say for sure though, I checked your site out, and the thing that I really respect about the charity break that you do is literally in December you said, "Hey guys, this is my donation to the charity. Here's the receipt.
Yeah.
Here's front and center.
Oh
You
yeah.
can see that I did that." Because that
You got to slap those
transparency is
receipts,
so
man.
smart. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because then you can say,
Absolutely.
"Hey,
Because
I did it."
I knew the first second I thought about it, I was like, I got to find a way to, because what I wanted everybody keeps telling me like, oh, like it's weird that they donate to you and not directly to the charity. And I'm like, yeah, I know,
Mhm.
because I want it to be collect all the money and drop it in their lump sum.
Oh,
Because
for
I can
sure.
say, oh, like, well, this person said they donated $5. I've seen all the receipts, and I could spend hours tabulating all the receipts to say, hey, guys, together we did this much. Or I could do a GoFundMe, and it would kind of be the same thing. I tried that first. Nobody really wanted to do that. But by processing it through my website and dropping it all in there all at once, I can say, look at this, guys. We raised, I think the ACLU, we raised 1,600, almost $1,700.
And why'd you
Yeah, it's
choose the ACLU? What do they stand for? Is there any
uh
particular
so
reason?
so yeah, let's talk about who I picked. So the first charity I did was the American Heart Association,
Hmm.
and that was one because it's very like there's nobody can say it's political.
Mm.
So I thought that was a good first pick. Also, my mother-in-law has a heart condition, so that was kind of like a little nod to her, and so I wanted to do that. The second one was the ACLU, which is a another non-bias. They are slightly political. I'm not going to try to say the ACLU isn't political because they're hella political.
Yeah.
But their thing is that they represent literally anyone as long as that person is fighting for their freedoms. So they're fighting for refugees who are kept in terrible conditions. They're fighting for prisoners of war who are kept in terrible conditions and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So obviously that's more of why I supported that.
Well, it's good
My
you're doing these charity breaks because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, people are buying cards from you. So even though
yeah,
they are getting, essentially, they're just buying a card from a store. You are the
yeah.
one who's the one who's, putting
Bring
this
that.
aside to give to charity. So if someone says like, "Oh, well, why don't we donate separately?" I mean, they're kind of more, and I don't think they're paying too much extra for the cards. It sounds like in some
No,
cases they're
yeah,
getting a pretty damn good deal. But you're just a really nice guy, Matt. I mean, it sounds like a really
I
a
try.
a really great thing, and I love the transparency. I love how you just put it straight up and say, "Hey, this
Yeah,
is what we did," and yeah.
yeah. I try to be as transparent as possible about it. This is what we did. This we sold this. We donated this because I think it's important to be open and to talk about things.
Mhm.
The final charity is going to be an environmental charity. I haven't nailed that down. I thought I was going to go with the Environmental Action Defense Fund, but it turns out that their usage of funds is not as good as I thought it once was.
Oh, so you
Um,
do due diligence in these. That is very
oh yeah,
smart. Yeah.
yeah. I picked the ACLU for my personal reasons and because they use over 80% of their funds for the actual programs. So if you donate $1, at least 80 cents. I think it's 86 cents of that goes to actual funds.
That's pretty damn
Uh,
good. And how do you find that rate? Because I think that
on
people who donate to charities, that is a really important rate to know.
Yes. It very much is. Charity Watch and Charity Navigator will both post things like that. Sometimes one will have info and one won't.
Mhm.
So if you're looking up a charity, you can definitely just type in like Charity Watch and that charity, or Charity Navigator and that charity. They're both great sites. Sometimes if it's a smaller charity, they won't have info on it. But it's definitely it's really good to know where your money goes. Like
Of
for a
course.
while, I've been a supporter of the International Campaign for Tibet
Mhm.
because the people of Tibet are horribly oppressed by the Chinese government, who just essentially wants to pretend they don't exist, which is not cool at all.
It's not cool.
It just to put it in the least of terms, it's not cool at all. Which is a whole nother topic of conversation, but it's something that I was like, no, this is a personal thing that I that culture is very interesting to me, and I think it's extremely wrong that another country is just trying to essentially pretend it doesn't exist and wipe it from the face of the earth, without so much as you literally walking in there and destroying it.
Mm.
So I donate to them, and then while I was doing this, I was like, oh, maybe I'll make that one of my charity things. And then I looked at it and I looked them up on Charity Watch, and they get like a 60 something, and I was like,
Oh, man.
damn, like every dollar I give you, just barely over half of it goes. And I'm like, yeah, that's better than 50 cents. But I'm like, but the American Heart Association is like 86.
Yeah.
So you look at it and you're like, oh man,
And
crap. I
it's tough with
wonder,
some of
should I find
those.
another one?
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, personally, what I like
Yeah.
is what is it? I donate to family members in the past, and that's just what my personal thing is. But it's just nice to see like when I'm buying them food or groceries, like I see where the money's going. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely good to be giving, you know.
Yeah, and know where you're giving, because that's a big part of it is you can donate, and that's good. It's always good, but
Always
you
good to
should
donate.
also, yeah, it's always good to donate. There's no, I mean, I wouldn't say
You're
there's no,
never
because
in the
there's always
wrong
that
for
exception.
donating. Yeah, well,
Yeah, you're never in the wrong for giving,
yeah,
but
asterisk.
there's gonna be the asterisk. This is not legal advice. There's always, it's always good to give, and it's always good, and within your means. So like, I I love that everybody comes out for those charity breaks, and I love that some people are totally fine with dropping. When it was crew, the cold foil slot was $300. Somebody snagged it immediately. My crew case break for the ACLU sold out in, it was like, I think it was like 30 seconds to a minute.
Wow.
Like I clicked go on all the things, and by the time I'd hit the bottom, all of it was gone.
It was just
And
like
I
the
just,
TCG player Monarch
yeah,
pre-release like
yeah,
tonight.
it felt like it. I felt like TCG player. Yeah, it was
1 minute.
crazy. Yeah, yeah. Before you could even click checkout, some of it was gone.
Dude, that was
Um,
rigged. That system was
it was insane. Was there two of them? Was that it?
I don't know. Is there one tomorrow, hopefully?
Yeah, they say they're gonna stock at 9 in the morning and 9 p.m.
For how
Uh,
long?
until while supplies last. I think they said until they cannot promise product any longer. I think is somewhere near the wording that they used. It's not while supplies last. It was
That's
until
great
they
legal
cannot promise.
jargon.
Yes, yes, it's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
for
it's
your
like
case
this
break.
nebulous, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I went into a tangent with your case break. It sold out in like yeah, a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, it was like by the time I'd clicked, cuz so in Shopify, I can't set stock all at once. I have to, cuz the case breaks are separated by rarity. Um, so I separate them by rarity. So I have to go like in and say add one, add one, add one. And I told people like, "Hey, I'm going to upload it on this day at some time around this." So just, be on your computer at that time. I didn't tell a bunch of people like, "Hey, at noon it's going up," because I knew if I said at noon, as I clicked the buttons, it would all, people would be trying to buy it while I was clicking the buttons. They'd be like, "The
Yeah.
comments were in stock. That means the legendary is." But it's going to take me, 30 seconds to click, 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 because I have to do it one at a time. So like as I was clicking, as the page refreshed, as I was clicking the next one, I saw like 1 0 1 0 1 0. I was like, what is happening? I was like, I told, like, I mean, I posted about it, but I didn't expect that kind of movement on crew. So like I talk about how we got $1,600 to the ACLU with that charity break, and it was almost all of it was Crucible of War,
Wow.
because like the other breaks paid for my costs, buying the boxes, doing
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff, and paying some of the, the website fees and all that kind of thing. And then crew is like that donation, and I was just like, holy crap, man! Like that it did it. That did it. It was just like crew was just gone in a second, and like there was the unlimited was still there for a week, I think a week or so. I still had some slots in unlimited, some like regular super rares, some like foil commons and stuff like that. But yeah, that went almost instantaneously, and I expect about the same thing for this next one. Whenever I get that final date planned, I think I can't tell people when I upload it, because it'll break my site,
Oh
because
yeah.
I'm just a little Shopify store. I'm sure, more than 100 people logging in all at once and trying to buy something. It'll
Well,
break my
you're gonna
store.
raise the
TCG
rate
players,
on that, right? Oh, you
oh,
gotta.
it's gonna have to come up, yeah.
I
And
mean,
but
what
see,
are
the
you gonna
great
even
thing about
put
it is
for
I don't
cold
feel
foil?
bad.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
cold
I don't
foil
feel bad
has
because
to
it's
be
for
at least.
charity.
Yeah, it has to be at least what, $200, maybe
So
more.
last time it was 300, because you pull in a case
Uh
of
huh.
crew, you're generally going to pull, uh,
Four.
no matter what, you're going to pull three.
Uh huh.
So that's what I quote at. So what I did was, while I've done my case breaks for crew in the early days when product was readily available, I actually, instead of just listening to the pack rarities, I went a little step further and I actually counted the cards.
Oh wow.
So not manually counting everything, but I weighed out a card, which is about 0.18 grams. And at the end of the break, I would take the rarities, I would stack them on my scale by the gram, count the cards. I'd get a rough estimate of how many cards were in it. And so I know how many cards you generally pull to count the bigger sets. Obviously, with cold foils, it's easy 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hmm.
But generally, my range was 3 to 5. In which mathematically you would say 4 is your average, but I was just like, no, I'm going to say 3 because that's the lowest. And honestly, across all the cases, it's relatively frequent.
Hmm.
A lot of people talk about the rarities of these cards in packs, and sometimes they kind of overstate it. Like everybody's like, "Oh, if you open a box, you're going to get one cold foil. It might not be the majestic, but it's going to be a rare or a common." And I'm like, "No, sometimes a lot of the time in a single box I wouldn't pull one.
Oh, that
But in a
sucks.
case, the next box probably has two."
Ah,
So it and I don't know if that's, maybe the way they're printed or how it's working out, but for me, from what I've observed in the probably 30 or 40 cases of Crucible I've opened, I've seen that across the box, your guaranteed pulls are not so guaranteed. The whole conception of like there's one cold foil in every box. Yes, that is relatively true,
mhm.
but it's also quite common to just not pull a cold foil in a box. So when you get that, if anyone's still opening crew and you don't pull a cold foil, don't feel too bad for yourself. It happens. Now, if you open a case and you only pull two cold foils, that's bad. That's terrible. That's horrible
Yeah,
because in a
it's really
case,
bad.
I'm pulling at least three. So that's what I quoted it at. So I was like, okay, well, three. So two rares and probably a majestic, around $300. Because the majestics at the time they were going for 200 ish, and then the rares were going for just sub 100, and now obviously the majestics are going for what, like 400, I think.
I
And
think
some of them
so.
are higher.
It's
So it's
ridiculous.
like if I did that again, it would probably still be around 300. I would
300 for the
for the whole cold foil slot.
whole cold foil slot for a
The whole
case?
cold foil slot. Yeah, so a case I would probably
Really?
it would
I'm
be 300 to
surprised.
400. Yeah, because
I'll have to stalk your site.
yeah, it's I mean, it's for charity, so
Yeah.
I'll probably raise the price a little bit. It probably won't be 300 even. I might do 350 or 4, but I'm not I
I
don't
think
want
800
to
be fine. I mean, even if you tweak it. No, honestly, dude. Because if
for
you have
charity. Yeah, true.
the cold foils in Crucible War are what 150 at the low end for the
That's true.
craft
Those rares
ones.
are going up. And
So
honestly, by the time we get
it's
to
for
it, yeah,
charity,
maybe it'll
dude.
even
It's
be
not
higher.
like you're like, ha ha ha, I'm Scrooge McDuck. I'm gonna keep all this money and
That's true.
get a swimming pool in my new house that I'm buying. Like
I got to pick a
you're,
really good charity then.
yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, yeah. You have a good point because it's. I mean, the cold foil, like I said, across a case, they're pretty guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
There
Oh,
was.
yeah. And can you imagine if you pull like a shard or a Shiana? Then you're.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Is
Yeah.
there a
So I've
fable?
been.
Is there a fable slot?
Yeah. So the Fable slot's definitely going up. The
Yeah.
last time I did Fable slot, it was 150 for the Fable slot, which is pretty good.
Hmm.
It's definitely going to go up. I haven't decided, but that's definitely something that's going to go up because if you pull that shard, I mean, what's shard? Shard's sitting at a confident 4,000 now.
Yeah.
Like if you sell a shard for 3K, you didn't check what the value of the card was at this point. Yeah, it's interesting because it's definitely weird. It's definitely a weird dissonance in my brain because as someone who collects this game, as someone who
Hmm.
buys these cards, if somebody was like, "Hey, you wanna buy the shard for 4 grand?" I'd be like, "Nah, too posh for me, my friend." But I also know that there are people that easily just have that. There are people with like 60-hour work, a week jobs that make four times what I do. So
Yeah.
you're like, hey, pay me $800 for the cold foils, and they're like, oh yeah, whatever. They're gonna keep going up. I'm good, and it's for charity. Duh, duh, done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Exactly.
it's definitely it's definitely a weird dissonance in my brain for me, which is why it took me so long to, like I was talking about, circling back again, that heart that I sold for $35. I could have easily have increased the price on my Fable slot already because the heart was not going up. I think it was at like 400 when that sold,
Hmm.
and then it skyrocketed even more after the break was already sold out. Um, I could have raised it, but I felt this like I always feel this like need to give something to the player that I would appreciate. And I don't mean to make that sound like, oh, I'm always trying to be the most generous, but like I it's a weird dissonance when somebody's like, dude, your price is low. I'm like, is it? And because I feel like I
Do
feel
you
like
think it's tough too? Because you and I have been around, well, especially you more, we've been around when Crew was like $90 a box. And
yeah.
even still, the thing that's going to get lost in everyone's mind is in the Discord. People are like, oh, Crucible War? Pfft, that was a jank set. Nobody cares about that. That
No,
isn't
yeah,
going up for a long time. I
the
don't
cards
think
aren't
that's
even
going to.
seeing play yet.
Exactly. It's a dud box. And then, 3 months passes and now it's like the hottest of hotcakes.
Yeah,
And in our minds, you and me, I see a Crucible War box. I'm like, yeah, I remember opening that. And
yeah,
we have videos of us opening that stuff and we're like, oh, look, a
tons of
gold
it.
foil. That's nice. This is ten
Oh,
dollars.
cool.
Yeah.
Or like I hit I hit a blood sheath and I'm like, oh, sick. This is like it's honestly it's my favorite equipment. I love the art. I love the flavor. I mean, the effect's pretty
Card
solid
is
too if you play in
so
Runeblade.
powerful. Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, it blocks for two.
Yeah.
um, I mean, Grasp. I think Grasp is a little better because it doesn't break, but and you get that permanent ability to just generate rune chance. A little pricey, but that's gameplay talk. But yeah, like hitting those cards was like a personal thing. It
What's
was like, oh,
gameplay?
cool. I hit what's game? What is this game? Um, I think it's cool because hitting those cards was just a fun personal thing. It was like, oh, I like this card, cool,
Yeah.
and that's the rare one. Like, there's something to be said for the fact that legendaries and fables are always exhilarating, even at the very beginning release of the sets when they were selling for like $80, and it wasn't a money card, or when they were selling for 350. It was like that was exciting no matter what,
Yeah.
just because seeing that card was so rare. And like the legendaries, not so much. Like if you're opening by a case, which I essentially always do, which makes me feel really weird when someone's like, "Oh, I opened a box and I didn't get anything good," and I'm like, "What do you mean? How, you opened like 96 packs?" And they're like, "No, a box," and I'm like, "Oh, that's right."
Oh.
Some people when they're playing this game, they just open a box at a time, because like even for personal stuff, I buy a case at a time. I buy a case, um, and I
And
kind
it's
of
so
look at
much better, you think, too, right? Because
I
there's always
yeah
like one or two dud boxes, and if
yes
you buy a case, then you're always, or not, I shouldn't say always, but there's a much higher chance that you're
there's
gonna at
more
least get a
probability.
legendary. Yeah, there's more
Yeah,
probability. But if you just
yeah,
get a dud box, then it's like you could keep buying dud box after dud box after dud
it's
box. But if
yep.
you buy a case, then you know that there's more
You have some
likelihood.
assurance.
Yeah, you have assurance with the math and everything. I have a
Yeah.
smooth brain, but I know there's big brain people with the numbers and how the
Yep.
cards are printed to where
To where
yeah.
if they come off the factory line, every so often they do it's random,
Yeah.
but there's only so much randomness in the world.
Yeah.
Because even if all the cards were in a giant card sorting machine and they all just filtered down, there's a certain number of them, and if you pick consecutive amounts, if you pick the whole stack, you're gonna get all of them. So it's definitely having a case. There's that
A-
assurance
And I think
that
that's
you're
why
gonna pull
Saint
something.
did it,
It's kind
right?
of good.
Like
Hmm?
on Insane's second video. And what's funny as hell to me is he has this whole Christmas tree of Welcome to Wrath and Arcane boxes, but he's like, still haven't pulled the Fable
Still
yet.
haven't pulled that heart, and I'm
And
like, how?
how? And he even said there's a little clip where he's like, yeah, I did this in the beginning because I didn't know, and that's why I bought all these cases. And I'm like,
Yep.
oh yeah, that makes sense because he knows about the math and all that stuff
The
too.
math behind that. Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he's a very intelligent person.
Oh,
No
for
one
sure.
no one can say he's just oh, he's just some rich guy with a lot of money that's throwing it at it. It's like, no, like he knows what he's doing. No one builds a collection of sealed and slabbed cards just on luck like that.
Not at
You got to
all.
be smart. Or at least not many people have the money even to do that. If you're not smart enough to get that income and to generate that, I mean, yeah, some people are just old money, but Saint is definitely he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He
He
bought all
does.
those cases all at once because we're talking about the guarantee of one case. He's thinking about the guarantee of if I buy the pallet,
Yeah.
if I buy all the boxes that came off the line right after each other, it does
If I
it does
buy
raise my
5%
chance
of the print run.
slightly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely he's definitely got an idea there that he's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. So yeah, that's why I think about it in a case, because you look at it and you go, okay, well, I hit a dud box, but these three boxes were printed in or around the same time as that box, so probably I'm gonna make it up by the end.
Yeah. And you can always split it
Sometimes you
with
hit a dud
friends.
case.
Yeah, that's
I've
true.
I've had a I've had a few unlimiteds where people buy the legendary and like I don't hit a legendary and I'm like, sorry,
Oh
man.
man,
I mean, it only happened. I mean, in all the unlimited I've opened, it's only happened I think 3 times.
out of how many
Uh,
cases?
oh my god, it's
Do you open that
at
much?
least yeah, because I do at least a break. I mean, until recently, I was doing at least a break a week. Generally, at least one of each set. So I was open 2+ cases a week. When the unlimited launched, I did 9 cases, I think 9 or 8, and that's in one day, in 1 week.
Wow.
And then I did like 6 the next week. So I've opened a pretty sizable amount. I would say anywhere around 100 cases.
What do you do with your
Uh,
bulk?
I've sent a lot out to people. Actually sent a lot to Mitch. I believe I've sent some to.
Oh,
No, it
nice.
wasn't Mitch.
Oh,
Uh, Maybe it was Mitch. I've
Midtown
sent
Merchant.
Yeah, I think I've sent some to him. He was building decks for his local community, and he didn't have any bulk. And I was like, dude, I've still got like you can see it in the background. These boxes here, that's bulk.
Oh,
That's just
nice.
it's a bunch of crew bulk, and that's what six long boxes. That's 6 times 800. And I've got 2 card hotels in the hallway out there for like my little office storage area. So I've got a lot of bulk, so I send it out pretty frequently, and now I've started to use it to build those hero decks,
Hmm.
so that like players that are getting into this game without having to get on the Facebook group, without having to ask people, without having to feel weird about not begging, but being like, hey, will someone send me these cards for free, and feeling like they're asking for too much. I put them up on my website. I'm like, $10. I'll send you a hero deck. It's got a pack of rares that gets you more rares than the original hero decks did.
Mm.
It's In a way, I don't want to call it a strictly better deal because those were more expertly constructed decks than the one I've made. I'm not saying I'm the best deck builder of all time. In fact, I'm probably not the best. That's why I literally stole their lists and tried to edit them as little as possible. So if somebody's like,
Why
this deck isn't
recreate the
that good,
wheel? Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, if it's
So
out
I
there.
I took I took their lists and I'm replacing the rares with some more commons, and then you get a stack of rares. I think it's 6 class rares and no, yeah, 6 class rares and 3 generic rares. And then with 3 foils of any rarity. Um, and I mean I have put foil majestics in there. I put a cold foil in one 3 or 4 months ago. So
Wow.
like I throw some value in there because I want a new player to have that chance at opening something fun, like we all got that chance to, without having to shell out hundreds of dollars now to get those cool cards. I mean, the boxes are they're coming down with this new restock. Hopefully, they'll come down to at or below 100. But
Mm.
um, because I'm fine if the market's a little constricted. If a box is $100, that's only $5 over MSRP. I don't think that's the worst case scenario. But when we're talking unlimited selling for 150 a box, I
Yeah, it's
see that and
tough.
I don't like it. I see that and it makes me hurt a little because I'm taking these boxes and like, yeah, I'm doing my case breaks. I'm trying to keep them affordable. And I know other people are doing the same. And Midtown Merchant, you got to shout out to Midtown because he's cracking those boxes and he's selling singles at low prices. He's got
They're extremely
some of the
low.
best. Like sometimes his price is a little higher at certain cards, and maybe that's just because he hasn't caught up and like adjusted it. But like overall, if you're looking at like overall pricing, he's got some of the best pricing in the market
I mean,
at
your
any given
pricing is
moment.
really good too. But yeah, no, like
And he's a cool dude.
he's
Like
a really cool dude.
let's shout out to him. He's a pretty sweet dude. But yeah, and
He's very
it
well
it hurts
spoken,
a
man.
little.
When I first talked to him, I was like, "Shit, why isn't he doing
Yeah.
this?
Why is yeah, why isn't he streaming? What's
Why
going
isn't he
on
doing
here?
what I do? He does a lot. Like he's very well spoken. He just goes on and I don't know. But you too, man. This
Yeah.
has been a lot of fun,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're getting pretty late. Yeah, I don't want to keep you up too long. But
dude. I'm staying up. Yeah, pretty late.
yeah, man, I get wrapped up in this in Flesh and Blood. This is fun. I can definitely see doing this again. I
Oh,
mean,
for
if you
sure.
want to do this again, I'm
I
down to
would
do this
love to
again
do
because
this
this is
again,
this
man.
is fun
This is
stuff.
the most fun content. It's always hard for me to schedule stuff. My
Yeah,
scheduling stuff is ridiculous in life, but when I can talk to people, man, it's this is cool. Because
this
it's
is
one thing
chill.
for us to like message over Discord, but
Yeah,
yeah, you don't really get that personal vibe
text is fun, but yeah, you don't get the personality behind that text. You don't get those subtle things that you pick up on.
for sure. And like with unlimited, man. Now that we've been going on for a bit, I mean, what do you think about all like the subtle hints we've been getting out there with unlimited and it might not be as unlimited, and
Yeah,
I mean, I don't wanna I don't wanna spec
it's
too hard, but
it's
it's getting a little scary for me.
it's one of those things. I don't think they're gonna stop printing unlimited anytime soon.
Mm,
I think they know that's a bad move because I think they know that if they stop printing unlimited right now, the game. I don't want. I'm not going to be naysaying the game would die, but it would hurt the game because those cards, even the cards that are low now, would go up, and the cards that are high now would go up.
mhm.
So I think it's more of how, like, we already see problems with printing because we haven't gotten unlimited was supposed to get here a month ago,
In
and it's not
February.
here yet. And by the time it gets here, people are so ravenous for it, it's going to be gone. Uh, and that I think is the biggest problem. Is it's not that there's not enough product to go around. It's that by the time the restocks get here, because everything's getting delayed so much,
People get
the
more
people,
emotional.
yeah, people get more hoardy. So like if it was here a month
Horny.
ago, yeah, they get
Sounds
hoard.
like
They're like, "Huh."
horny.
Yeah, right. I mean, they get that too, man. They get riled up.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
true.
but you see
So when
people
they
that
do, they're
probably would
like,
have
"I just
bought.
wanna buy it."
Yeah. Like they probably would have bought like if it was arriving on time and it arrived last month, they might have been like, "Oh, I'll buy a box of both." I kind of want some more cards. But then by the end of the month, they're like, I need a case of each. I want a case. I might go two cases." And you're like, "Dude, you're talking about like dropping your whole paycheck on this game. Like you need to chill. It's gonna be here." And like I think we've got at least they're gonna keep it in print for I would say hopefully a minimum another year,
Mm.
hopefully two or three more. Now, do I think we're going to get a restock of Unlimited Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising every few months for the next 3 years? No, I don't. I think what's going to happen is with Monarch, they're going to test the waters and say like maybe one more print run, one small print run that they can fit in the schedule between printing Monarch and Monarch Unlimited, which hopefully they're still printing Monarch Unlimited. I really hope they are. Um, and then they're gonna see how long that sits on shelves. They're
Mm.
gonna be like, like does that sit on? If it's still flying off the shelves, I think they're gonna still try to print it. Um, so I think our problem isn't is it unlimited or not. It's how
How long?
frequently do we get it, and how long does it take to get more of it, and
When does it
what's the
stop?
rate? Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like we know this fountain has a lot of water. The well has a lot of water on it, and if you keep pulling hard enough, you're gonna keep getting the water. But the problem is each set only has so much water in it. You can only pull so many handles on their end. So they got to prioritize like, what are we printing now? What slots do we have? They have to focus on printing the new sets because that would be like these unlimited cards going up still and staying higher pricing. That's bad.
Mm.
But Monarch Unlimited being severely underprinted is even worse.
Yeah,
So I
because
think
that's gonna be insanely
it's for them. It's
desired.
like best of two evils. Like we're gonna pick the new set because that's what's gonna drive the game, and then we'll get back to this. So I think the problem is, and it goes along with Crew Unlimited. So
Yeah.
they've openly said that they don't have any plans for it, and now they've said that they want to. So they've kind of cured that burn that we had before because everybody freaked out. They were like, they don't have plans, and everybody thought it meant we're never going to do it. And it's like,
Buy
no,
the boxes.
read the words. They said they don't have plans, not we're never going to
Yeah.
do it.
Well, because what people
You
don't understand
read.
is in that realm, in the finance aspect, you budget for next year's spend.
Yeah.
So they just
Yep.
said we don't have a budget for it. We're not planning
Yeah.
on doing it. And I know I don't want to say things to where I'm saying things about unlimited as much, but there's a couple news lately from Rudy especially. He made two jabs at like pokes at it that says, "Hey, just because it says unlimited
Doesn't
doesn't
mean
mean
it's
it's unlimited."
unlimited.
And
Yep.
if the boxes are like 100, and sticking,
Yep.
it's really got me scared to your aspect because if that box does go up to 200 or 150, it is going to be a little scary to
Sad.
me because
Yeah.
this was supposed to be the player's box in my mind,
Yep.
and maybe
Yeah.
my perception's wrong, but I
Yeah.
know that you and I joke a lot, man. I'm going to say this, straight up, like I am overly cautious on disclaiming and saying, I'm a normal guy in a normal room. This is
Yep.
not investment advice. I know that sounds a little wonky, and I
No.
know I'm not like I don't have a hot head. I know that not many people
Yeah.
listen to this, and I know a lot of people don't listen to me for
You get some
for
pretty good views.
Oh yeah, well, for 2 hours, thanks,
Yeah.
man. But
Yeah.
I know I don't have a significant influence, but I know that I personally don't want to screw anyone up, and
Yeah.
I do it as well because, dude, I made a lot of videos when Crucible War was spiking, but then after there were other spikes, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was wrong so many times.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with this stuff?" And it just didn't make sense.
Yep.
And I feel a sense that that is more of what's happening now. And there's a lot of people who are saying
Yep.
one thing, but then news is going to be released in the future that just totally makes everything that everyone says irrelevant, and it's just going to make
Out the window.
things happen. And I'm not going to specifics when I'm saying that, but you feel
Yeah.
me what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of things that like we think we keep taking things for granted, and I think that's happened multiple times in Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps like Crew was so readily available. Everybody was like, it's I
Yep.
can buy cases every day, and I
Buy
told you
as
like
much as you want
I
for
had
100 bucks.
our local group was buying cases a day. Like every time they came in, like between the group, they were buying multiple cases almost every week. And I
Yeah.
had no trouble getting it. We just kept going back. And I was like, this is great. This is going to be on shelves readily for a whole year. It's not going to be
Yeah.
like the other set. And then, Rudy was like, I think these boxes are going to go up. And everybody went insane. And then they were like, hey, by the way, we're out of it. And we were all like, and they were like, no, wait, there's a small shipment coming back. And it was like, okay. And then the distributor
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
that
hey, you
small
can,
shipment.
yeah, a small shipment. And the distributor was like, hey, you can only get one case a week. And I was like, I'm going to see you every week then. But also, I can only get one case a week. That means, and there was no, you can only get one case a week. It's going to last till now. Cause you can only get one case a week while supplies last. And when a distributor is doing a while supplies last, that's another level, and we just took that for granted. Everybody was taking Crucible of War for granted. We were just acting like, oh yeah, it's the set that they printed most recently, it's going to be fine, because they know the game's popular now.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, they did know the game was popular now, because they openly said in one of their posts, it was actually quoted in Freya's article, however you feel about that, you take it or leave it with a grain of salt. Her article, she
I
quoted
forget.
Alan, one of his Facebook posts. He said, when we printed Crew, it was before the sellout of the first two sets.
Yep.
So we
Oh,
did
now I
not
know what you're
know
talking about.
how popular it was. Within 3 months of announcing that we were doing it, our orders from distribution from the stores outsold what we had printed already.
Mhm.
So we printed another run. And everybody was like, oh my God, what does that mean? Is it unlimited already? And they were like, no, it happens so quickly. We think it's fair that it's still first edition.
Well, and
And it
they
was
they
like,
increased
that
the
makes
print
sense.
run while it was being printed.
While it was still
And
being printed.
and
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. And what's funny about that news is, remember back in the day, people were like, "Oh my gosh, they doubled the print run.
It's
This
going to ruin the game.
it's gonna ruin the card
Yeah.
price. The boxes are
No, they're
worthless."
they're not keeping their promise of not printing first edition again. They're ruining it. And they were like, no. The
Yeah,
printer was still rolling these sheets off the line, and we said,
and that's
hey,
fair game.
yeah, I know we said this, but do some more. That's
Yeah.
totally fair game.
Yeah, as long
And I
as
think
it's
that,
not,
that was
like,
beautiful.
fully
That's what they
shipped
should
and
have done.
done. If it As long as it's not done for, like, 2 months, and then they're like, they
And
give
then
them
they're
like,
coming
"Hey,
back to it like, "Hey,
can you, ship me more of that stuff?"
we want to make a little bit more money, print some more."
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's totally
they
fair.
said, "Hey, our pre-orders already outsold what we made. We need more." And that I think that's totally fair. Now, if they were like, "Oh, hey, a month down the line," yeah, like you said, like 2 months later, if they were like, "Hey, we need more." No, that does kind of tarnish first edition. So,
Mm,
I think that move is really good, and I think they've kind of strayed away from that with Monarch, which has me slightly not worried, because we all know, like, again, the conversation of need versus want. You
mhm.
don't need first edition. You want first edition. No,
Very
literally
true.
no one needs it. Technically, no one needs this card game at all. We all want it. So saying like, oh, first edition should be readily available is a little bit privileged, in a way. But as players of this game, as people in the community, we do have a little bit of, I think we have a little bit of not like a right, because it's just not true. But I feel like they if they can give us that, they should be able to give us first edition for new players.
But
I
Matt,
think
what if
it's
I'm red blue colorblind and I can't see the rainbow foils? That's why I need the red color. That's why I need
I
cold
need the
foils,
cold
man.
foils.
It's the only ones I can see. No, but
Yeah,
you do have a good point, and that's the whole facade around people who complain about that shit.
yeah,
Is I'm not saying all of them, but I feel like most who
but a
complain
good
about the
portion.
collectability are the ones who just didn't get the free ride. They didn't get the
Yep,
easy money and they're pissed off and they want the easy money and that's why they're complaining
yep,
about collectability, not because they actually just want to play the game and yeah,
yep.
I don't know.
They just wanna look at their box that they paid $80 for and be like, wow, that's worth $4,000. Yay!
Yeah.
But
I mean,
like,
I don't blame them. I mean, you and I probably
yeah,
have so many. There's so many regrets I have, man. I wish
oh yeah,
I could have purchased some majestic rainbow foils for like oh god, like $30 each,
yeah. When they were
and
30, $40, and I was looking at it like
I thought
40.
I
That's
can't
insane.
pay that. I was
I
like,
can't do
I
that.
just I can't do it. And then now I look
Yep,
at it, I'm like, should have
I
clicked the
could have
button.
done that.
Yeah.
I
I
could
mean,
have
it's
bought 10
still
of them.
I'm very fortunate at the end of the day. I'm very happy for everything I
Yeah.
own, but
Oh
it's just a
yeah.
lot of those things that yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely one of
Well,
those
you
things where
with your
like,
cold foil card, like that you said, and
yeah,
yeah.
I pulled a Mask of Momentum out of my last alpha pack from that first box I bought. It was the last pack from the first box I ever bought. It had been in my house for over a year.
Wow.
I mean, I have it on camera. I did it as like a little video. I'd pulled nothing in the other packs, but I had saved 6 packs because I wanted to build another sealed deck with them.
Mhm.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna build that sealed deck. I might as well record them while I open them. They have sentimental value to me, so I'm not gonna sell them ever. So I'm gonna open them. And I opened the first 5, and there was just nothing. I didn't even pull a foil
Oh,
rare. It was like foil commons, which I guess now are valuable, which is insane.
like $20
Um,
each or something.
yeah, yeah. And if you've got like a red flock of the feather walkers, it's worth even more. Or a red sigil, it's worth even more.
Jeez.
Um, but so I opened it, and I pulled a cold foil Mask of Momentum, and like if I had pulled that in the first days of that game, I would have sold it immediately because I could have bought another box with it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing with all of them. So now I look back on it and I'm like, I'm really fortunate that I didn't open that. And
Now
I'm
you
really
could buy
glad
a
that I didn't
car.
open that. But I don't look back on it and go like that was I used to. I'm not gonna lie, I used to. When I thought about like my Teklo heart that I traded for like $60 in cards and $20, I was like, I can't believe I got rid of a Teklo heart for $80. I
Mhm.
can't believe I did that. It was worth 90 at the time, but I was like, I want to trade this. I want to move it into a new box. I want to move it into cards I don't have. And then just other stuff that I look back and I was getting all bent out of shape about it, and then like it was Rob, it was Rob. He was just like, you can't beat yourself up about it, man. You can't get hung up on that. Like you enjoy
Yeah,
the game,
you
right? And I'm
can't.
like, yeah, and I love. And he was like, and you've still got like a good amount that you saved because you made the right decisions when you realized it. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, then whatever. And I was like, yeah, you're right, man. I can't get bent out of shape. I can't. I don't want to get hung up on that. I've got what I've got, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and I
And
think it's a
if
journey, really. It's
yeah,
kind of foolish to say that, oh, you're never going to feel like you missed out or feel regret. It's going to
yeah,
happen. But then
there's
you
always going
have
to be
to,
regret.
yeah, there's always going to be regrets in life. But then you have to, be humble and say, okay, well, what do I
Yeah,
do have? Or, well, maybe I did make the best decision at the time and I am
yeah.
good where I am. And I mean, I can say for sure, man, like, we're gonna be so much like this is such a great time to be in it because can you imagine the people who adopt this game in like 3 to 2 years? Like
Oh
they're
yeah.
gonna have missed out on
Oh,
so many things,
on
and
so many things.
that's how I felt in Magic the Gathering. I talked to a bunch of people, and they were in it from
Yeah.
the beginning, and I was
Yeah, in the
not
early
in it
'90s.
anywhere close to the beginning. I mean, I think
Yeah.
early 2000s when I played it as a kid, but
Yeah.
I missed that feeling. So it's
Yeah,
cool that we
that
have
early
that.
adoption. It definitely and I think it's really cool because yeah, like you said, like that feeling of being here at the beginning, like even at Crucible, like a lot of people that were like so like I was there for the first set. I was there when the game launched. Like that's a really cool feeling, but you got in Crucible and that in a year that's going to still feel amazing
Oh
because
yeah,
it's still so early in this game's life because I 100% believe in this game, and I pretty much have from the very beginning. The only thing that kept me from just dropping mad money on this was like I just didn't have it.
same.
I did not have the cash available to just be like, hey, you know what? I wanted to. I wanted to buy cards to invest in this game because I was like, this is going to take off. This game is going to be big, Did I expect it to happen this fast? God, no. Did
No.
anyone expect it to happen this fast? God, no. I don't think so. If anybody tells you they expected it this fast, I think they're being like, yeah, I expected it. I know
It's
what's going on.
hindsight by before the
It's
CFB
hindsight
and
bias.
TCG player
Yep.
announcement, like all of us were just like, please, we really want it to
Please, somebody pick
succeed.
it up.
Yeah, now it's
Yep.
like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I mean TCG players doing good by us. Maybe we didn't get to click that buy button because it sold out in a minute, but like that deal is
that
it's
deal's
good.
really
Even
good.
at like regular even if Monarch wasn't selling for $300 a box on some sites, like 110 plus $9 shipping for a box of first edition and the foil promo, the cold foil promos. I gotta say, even if that was Crucible of War, I would have been like, that's an okay deal. It's a pretty good deal. Box and promos, yeah, it's a little bit more than I'd pay at my LGS, but I got guaranteed promos. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's pretty legit.
Yeah, I'm
And
hoping
that's
9 in the morning
interesting that
tomorrow.
yeah, they're they're giving it through TCG player. I wonder if they're gonna give promos to the stores again too. But anyway,
Oh yeah, I hope so. I would definitely think so. It'll probably be like Welcome to Wraith Unlimited and Arcane Rising Unlimited, where they did slightly modified. In the original sets printings, you got one promo pack per case, so it was 4 promos per case that you bought. In Unlimited, it was a pack of 2 packs of promos for every 3 cases you bought. So you didn't get promos for every single bit of product you bought, but you did still get a pretty good amount, 2/3. So it was a little bit modified, but I think it was still fair, and I think that would still be really good. If we get that with Monarch, I will be more than happy
oh yeah,
because I know like the Team Covenant promos are going to be the most coveted promos. We all know that.
no pun
Um,
intended. Coveted.
yeah, no one's coveted. Yeah, right. I literally didn't mean a pun intended. You caught that. That's good. But even the store promos, the way Monarch is going right now. That's even they're going to be prize worthy. You're going to want to keep those, and I'm not saying you're going to want to grade them or anything, but it's going to be something that you're going to want to keep in that binder, and you're going to want to get whatever you have. I wouldn't let go of it anytime soon.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm
This is not
hodling.
financial advice, but I wouldn't let go of it anytime soon.
I'm hodling to the moon. I mean, it's
Yep.
just yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
insane
man.
how much and I just believe in it, and
Yeah.
anyone who has the cards and it's gone up, it's really the monetary value gain. It's all about belief, and
Yep.
you and I are the same. We believed in the game, and if we had to sell around, like I've sold some stuff, and it's like I did it so I could move things around and do
Yep.
different things, but. Yeah. Hey, man, I really appreciate you talking to me tonight.
Yeah.
This was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. What more do you wanna? Do you have anything else to say about your channel, man? I love your channel. I love what you're
Thank you.
doing with your store, man. It seems that you have a really cool thing going. I like how you're
Yeah.
doing the
Yeah.
charity
Try.
aspect, and yeah,
Yeah, man.
you're a
I'm
cool
I'm
guy.
enjoying your channel. I like these cash chats the style that you got going on here. I think it's really good because it's different content. So there's like I've got the box openings going on. Tellurian Drophouse has got the gameplay going on. You've got like the really nice just conversational stuff. Like if you just want to hear people talk about Fab, like you just and not literally about watching a game being played because that you gotta pay attention to that. This you can kind of like you can almost hang out with us while this is
Yeah,
going, like with you and your guest. So I think it's really cool. But
but your
yeah,
vocal cords are
just
pulled out, so you can't talk, and you just have to listen to us.
yeah. So yeah, it's what to plug for the channel. We're restocking Crucible of War daily. I just got a huge shipment in that was lost in the mail. My neighbor was actually really awesome and dropped it off today. It got
Oh,
misdelivered.
nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I count myself really lucky. I had like an $800 purchase with this private seller, and I bought a pretty sizable collection from him, and it got lost in the mail. The mail guy just delivered it all the way in another neighborhood, and like this guy came to my house, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I opened this. I thought it was for me." Because I just didn't even look at the label. I was expecting a package, so I just ripped it open. And he was like, "But then I saw your name," and he was like, "I saw your address," and I was like, "Dude, you have no idea how much I've been looking for this because it's been missing for like a week." I handed him like a handful of cash. I was just like, "Take this," and he was like, "Oh no, 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 no!" And I was like, "No, you have no idea how much this package was worth." Uh, but yeah, so we're restocking Crucible. So if you're looking for singles for Crucible of War, we've got a pretty sizable collection, and we're restocking some of the key cards. You can use the promo code Skirmish Time. That's capital S Skirmish Time with an exclamation point at the end. And if you buy 6 cards, you'll get 10% off supplies. So we've got sleeves, deck boxes, all that kind of stuff. So that's like our little promo we're running right now. We're going to start doing case breaks soon. We are going to have Monarch case breaks. I can promise you that. I can't promise you how many. I don't know how many I'm getting. Unlike a lot of people who are saying their reps are telling them rough numbers, I'm not even. I don't care if my rep told me today. I'm not going to believe that until I have those cases in my hand. So there's
Good
one
on you,
thing
man.
you can guarantee is if when I start running that, when I put up a pre-release case, I know it's going to be in there. So yeah, look for that when that starts coming about. I'm super excited for a preview season. It's still like a month away, but let's definitely get hype. But let's not freak out too much. Everybody, stay calm, hang out, enjoy this game for what it is. Try to keep that financial stuff in mind, like we've been talking about, but also just enjoy the game. These skirmish events are a lot of fun. I definitely recommend somebody sign up for one because the prizes are all random and people are running fun jank decks that you just want to hang out and play.
Oh
There's
yeah.
so many people that are running like a deck they've never piloted before. Like I wanted to build Ranger, so I built Ranger, and it's
And
like
people
yeah,
are
because
nice.
it's
It's
fun.
not like they're like nitty gritty, like, oh, you missed that turn or you did this, or
Exactly.
they're
Yeah. So if
just
anybody's out
nice.
there thinking that like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to play in a competitive event, I highly recommend that you get into this community and just hit it with whatever you've got. You
Yep.
don't have a legendary, hit it. You don't have
100%
any, you
great
barely have
games.
equipment.
100% great
Yeah,
people.
100% great game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it tattooed on my forehead. No, I'm not. My wife would kill me. But it is. It's true. These games are all fun, and like every opponent I've had, they've been super cool. And just as long it's just like when you're in a foreign country. As long as you attempt to learn the language and play the game, your opponent's going to help you out, and you're going to play the game, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, check out our site if you want to, but at minimum, I want you to enjoy this game. I want people to get into this. I want to get people excited about this game. So yeah, I hope
Yeah, and the
everybody has
tournaments
fun with
are
this
all
game because
participation, right? So it doesn't matter
yeah,
win
they're
or
all
lose, it doesn't
participation.
matter.
Just
You
do it.
always have the same chance of winning those random
Those
cards
of
that
coid foils, the cold foils, and those playmats. I mean, it's random. You
yeah.
join an event with 10 people, and you're gonna get one because
And
that's
you don't
how it
even have to
works.
leave your house.
You don't even have to leave your house, man. You don't even put pants on as long as your camera's not pointed right at your crotch. You don't have to put pants on. But yeah.
OnlyFans.
So
Yep.
yeah, check out our site. We've got singles. Look out for our charity event. We're going to be doing one more before Monarch releases. I will have details about that. I'm actually. So we'll plug this one more thing before we head out.
Plug as much as you want, man.
I'm looking for sponsors for that charity event. So if you know an LGS that has something they might want to donate to that charitable cause, go ahead and shoot them my channel info. Tell them to message me. We've had some really cool sponsors in the past. Unison Games Cafe, shout out to them. They sent us these cool Crucible of War catch-up packs, which are awesome. FabDB actually sponsored our last one with memberships.
Hmm.
So a lot of people got promo 3-month memberships. One person got a lifetime membership.
Wow.
We've had a lot of really cool stuff. So if you know somebody that wants to donate to a charitable cause and help raise funds, we haven't decided the charity yet, but it's going to be an environmental charity. So if you know somebody that cares about the environment and wants to raise money for it and environmental protections, shoot me a message. Paxalon23 on Discord. I'm on Facebook. You'll see me in the groups. That's about it, man.
Good on you, Matt. Hey, man, it's been a lot
Yeah,
of
man.
fun. And for everything you just mentioned, I'll put links down below in the description of the
Oh,
video
sick.
to so
Yeah, man.
people know where to click and can easily
Yeah,
find you and get
I appreciate
really
that.
plugged into what you're doing, man. Because you're doing a lot of cool stuff, and I really
No,
appreciate
thanks, man. I
talking to you,
appreciate
man. We'll
that.
definitely talk in the
Yeah,
future, man. This is a lot of fun.
let's do this. Yeah, let's make this a semi-regular thing because this was fun.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Yeah,
Talk to you soon, Matt.
awesome, man.
Peace.
Talk to you later, man. Bye.